so today I want to show you a DRK Maker Team video using these Trimit glitter snowflake felt sheets. So I showed these recently on a haul that I did, and they're really nice. I really like them. So you got the silver on one side and then like a grey on the other, so single-sided, but they're really cool. So I want to show you today how to make a Christmas decoration with them, and we're going to be making this very cute bauble. Now I'm sure some of you, especially those of you who've been around a bit, will have made similar things to this with card, and you can do that as well, but I just really like the feel of the felt, and it just, you know, it's just quite nice, the all over glitter, really cute. So yeah, so I'm going to show you how to make this, so let's get into it. Okay, so for this project you're going to need, well, I'm going to go for 2 different colours. You could do all the same colour if you want to, and you need, if you're doing 2 colours, you're going to need 5 of each colour, so 10 in total. So I've got the silver and the gold. I've actually die cut these using a circle die. You can go whatever size you want. I've gone for a die that was about 2 3/4, because obviously that's kind of going to be the size of your bauble. So it really depends, you know, what you want to do. So first of all, we're going to fold these in half. So once you've done that, you want to take your semicircle and you're going to put a little blob of glue just on this edge here, a line of glue, and then you're going to take your gold one and line it up and stick it next door, making sure that it all lines up on the edges and along the edge there, like that. And then we're going to do the same again. So we're going to put a line of glue along here, then take a silver one, add it on like that, next we do a gold, and we continue like this with all of our semicircles. So then what you want to do is you'll end up with this. So you're going to take a bit of ribbon. Now this bit of ribbon I've got is about 8 inches long. So I'm going to fold it in half like that. And we're just going to add a blob of glue. And I'm going to put it, I think I'm just going to put it on this side here like that. And then you're going to put a line of glue just down this edge here, bring it round and stick those two together. So if you wanted to, you could stop here and just have a nice little bauble like that, but we're going to go a little bit further. So what we're going to do is at the top here, and I'm probably going to need some pegs for this, so I'm going to take a bit of glue, just put a little blob at the top there, and then we're just going to hold that together like that, and I'm just going to put a peg on it. Then we're going to go to the next one on the top, the silver, put a blob of glue, and we're going to peg it. Next silver one, put a blob of glue at the top and peg it. And we do that all the way around the top, just with the top half of the silver ones. So you should end up with them all the silver ones are pegged at the top. So we're going to turn it round now and we're going to do the gold. And what we're going to need to do is put a blob of glue at the bottom where the gold is. Again, peg it together and continue that all the way around. If you find that your layers are kind of coming apart like mine are, then what you can do, you can either leave it like that just for extra kind of layers, or if you want, you can go ahead and just put some glue just on the inside all the way around like that, and then just stick them together. So there's your finished bauble made from glitter felt, and if you want you can put a little thing on the bottom just to hide that. I think it's quite a cute little bauble. I think it's really nice. Looks really cute, really easy to do. Something you could do maybe with the kids. If you want to do with the kids, maybe don't use the hot glue gun, or get them to, get the adult to do the hot glue gun. Or you could just put a stitch in if you wanted to. You could put a little stitch in the top. So yeah, lots of different things you can do with that. But yeah, so I hope you liked it. Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how I made this card. This is a Cascading Trifold Slimline card. Now obviously you could make this using any kind of shape. You could do an A5, you could do a 5x7, you could do a 6x6, you could do any shape you wanted to. So this was one that I made for In Love Art Shop. I used their dies here, and I'm going to use these dies again because I do really like this card. It was super simple to decorate, in that I didn't have to worry about mats and layers. You can do mats and layers if you want to, but if you want a card, like me, maybe you're not very good with cutting out mats and layers for triangles, this is definitely the one for you. So these dies, as I said, were from In Love Art Shop. You can use my code ICED30, which will get you 30% off your order up to the end of January 2025. So go and do it. If you're watching this after January 2025, you will probably need to use my original code, which is Iced Images, which will get you 20% off. But yeah, it might change, who knows. But anyway, up to January 2025, you can use the ICED30 code, which will get you 30% off. So I also wanted to do this one a bit different. So this is actually going to be, so at the moment it's just a normal Cascading Trifold Slimline card, but I want to turn this into a gift card holder as well. So I'm going to show you how to make this card, and then I'm going to show you how you can make it into a gift card holder. You've obviously got space. Now I've actually, on this one, I've actually cut the Let Your Heart Be Light out of the base card, and then I've put a white card behind. So you could write your message here, or if you wanted to, you could put a white piece in here or in here where you can write your message. It's really up to you what you want to do, or even like fully at the back there, you could do a white piece. So it's really what you want to do with that one. So yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so for my base card, I'm actually going to use one of these Storyteller papers, and I'm going to use one of the double-sided ones. I'm going to use this one here. So you've got this on one side and the other side is plain pink. Obviously on the one that I used previously, I just used a plain coloured base card. Now you can make this card out of an A4 sheet of card if you want to. So this original one I actually did out of an A4, and so I cut my sheet down to 8 1/4. Well, obviously 8 1/4 is the width of the A4 anyway, and then I just made sure it was 11 5/8 in length. Now if you are going to do that, then all of your score lines need to be at 3 7/8. So 3 7/8, that's what that's going to be. That's going to be 3 7/8 too, and so that would be your cuts for your score lines for that. But I decided today we're going to go with a 12 by 12 and just make life a lot easier. So if you've got an A4, you can do it with an A4. If you haven't, then go with the 12 by 12. If you're using letter size card, which I believe is 11.5 inches long, then what you need to do is just divide that by 3 and work out what that equals. And then if you want to round it off a little bit, so obviously with this one I've done 3 7/8, and this whole thing is 11 5/8. So maybe for a letter page, try doing this as 3 3/4 and cutting it down that way instead. So that's what you can do. But we're going to go with 12 by 12 because it's going to make life a whole lot easier. So on your piece of card, obviously you've left it as 12 inches long and it's 8 1/4 high. You're going to score every 4 inches. So you're going to score 4 inches and at 8 inches. So nice, easy, rounded off measurements. So next up, we want to take a pencil, and what we're going to do, now you need to decide what you want. So if you've got a double-sided pattern like I have here, decide what you want where. I'm actually going to leave this as the inside, so I'm going to fold that there as a valley fold, and then this one is going to come over and go there to be a mountain. So you're going to end up with that. That's how I'm going to do mine, because I want this to be visible on the middle panel. If you wanted to, you could do it this way around. So you have this at the back and this at the front, and then you just have a plain pink in the middle. Once I've cut it, we'll see. I might change my mind, but actually I think I'm going to prefer it this way around. So what we're going to do now is bring in the cutting mat, and then I'm going to measure up this, because I want it this way round. I'm going to measure up from the bottom here 2 inches and mark. I'm then going to cut from the mark I've just drawn all the way up past the first score line to the top of the second score line. So this bit here is extra. If you want to, you can use this as, you know, for other things, or you can just throw it, depends on what you want to do. So then you're left with this piece here, and then this is going to literally go like that. So as you can see, I just feel like that's quite nice. It's quite a nice mix. If you want to do it the other way, it would look like, well, it would be like that, but obviously not, because your folds would be the way around. But that's kind of the effect you would get if you did it the way around, which is quite nice. But I think I'm going to go for the slightly calmer look, which is this way around. Obviously, as you could see then, it was kind of not folding. You know, it folds the wrong way, but that's just because I've cut it this way. So just make sure you cut it the right way, depending on what you want at the front and what you want at the back. So then what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and die cut out all the bits you need to die cut. So as you can see, if you were putting mats and layers on, this piece here is a bit of a tricky. You could work it out. You could easily just lay your mat on, you know, draw it, you can measure it, you could do all sorts, but I just think, you know, you don't actually need to do it, and it just makes a super simple card. When it comes to Christmas particularly, or like a birthday card for somebody, you're in a hurry, you want to make something quick, this is just a much easier way of doing it. Your double-sided pattern card does all the job for you. This is actually 200 GSM, so it's a good weight. It's perfectly fine for this kind of card. Okay, so before we go any further, we're going to do the little pocket for the gift card. Now, gift cards tend to be about 2 1/8 by about 3 3/8. This is a rough size. This is pretty much, from what I've gathered, I've had gift cards in the past, and I've measured them, drawn around them, and this is roughly the kind of size. So I've used that to gauge how big my pocket's going to be. So I've made the pocket to be 3 1/2 wide by 3 1/4 tall. And then we're going to score at 1/2 inch along the width and at 3 inches. And then if we just turn it, so I've got a right way up pattern, so I'm going to score the bottom, and we're just scoring at 1/2 inch. And that just gives you a little kind of pocket, and you should find that between those score lines, we turn it over so you can probably see the score lines, your gift card should fit. It's a little bit snug. You can make it a tiny bit bigger if you want to, but there, I think there's enough room there, even with the, you know, it's not going to be that wide. Thick your gift card isn't going to be. So then what we want to do, because these are the pieces that are going to stick, because this is the side I want, I'm going to go ahead and add some red tape onto these tabs. Let me just fold them first so we can see where they are, because obviously with the pattern it gets quite busy. So there we go, like that. And then we are going to go ahead and add some tape onto our tabs. Okay, little tip, if you're trying to stick red tape onto a tab that's got a pattern and the other side's plain, if you just turn your card over and fold the tab over, you can then easily see where the tab kind of starts and ends, because like that it's quite difficult to see the score line. So then we're going to go and come in here, and we're going to literally notch out our edges, and I would just go straight across if I were you, because if you go straight across like this, then on the inside you should hopefully not have tabs that clash. So I'll show you what I mean. So obviously I've cut them straight across, straight across. If I turn this over, when I fold these up, they do clash a little bit. So what I would do is just make sure they don't actually clash. So just notch them out a little bit more if you need to. Usually doing them in a straight line is enough that they don't then clash. But just make sure that on the inside there, you've got a nice, neat kind of mited finish, and that they're not overlapping each other. Okay, so then you should end up with that. So this, and just if you want to as well, you can just double check that your gift card goes in nicely, and it does. It's quite a lot of space there. So then what I'm going to do is this is actually going to go, I'm going to put that here on this side, like that. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick that down. So there you have your little pocket stuck on the inside. If you want to, you could decorate it, put a bit of stitching or put some, you know, something on it. Just be mindful if you're putting anything 3D on it, this is going to shut, so you can end up with a bit of a bump. And then your gift card should just nicely fit in, and it should, that's as far as it goes. I've deliberately done it so you've got a bit of the gift card poking out, so it's easy for the recipient to grab their gift card. So that is that bit done. So now we just need to decorate. So I've cut out 2 of the little lights, and I've cut out 1 complete set of bulbs, and I've done them in 3 different colours because I like doing things in threes. 3 different colours, and I've used the Dovecraft rainbow mirror card, which is fantastic. So it just gives, and I've deliberately cut it because it's kind of got stripes on it, as when you see it, not kind of mirrored stripes, holographic stripes. So I've deliberately done it so that the stripes go this way to give that kind of rounded bauble look, as opposed to doing it the other way, which I think would probably not work with the 3D kind of, you know, look. And then what I did, I cut out just the tops of the baubles using the gold, and I just stuck them over the top, so you got the kind of a look that they're like little lights. So then we're going to take one of our light strings, and we're going to put this on. And I've discovered that, and obviously you just need to make sure that whatever you're using doesn't go outside of the edges. So I'm going to use this one here, and then this one I'm going to put the other way round, so that we have different things, you know, up and down. So that's going to go there like that. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick this on. Okay, so there you go. I've stuck down the lights onto the front there, the string, and then we just need to go ahead and arrange the lights themselves. So as I said, I've cut out some different ones, and I'm just going to do a bit of a mishmash. You just got to make sure that you don't go over the side of your, you know, card. So make sure that everything kind of works. If you want to do some that are up like this, you can, as long as I would suggest you probably want to put this middle one up like that if you can do anything up, because you want to make sure that it doesn't stick above the card. But I'm going to put all these top ones are going to go more like that. You can have them hanging over this a little bit if you want to, but just don't have them hanging over the edge. So I'm just going to go ahead now, arrange these on and stick them down. Right, so I've stuck the lights down. Quite pleased with the way that's turned out. Then last time, as I said, I actually cut the Let There Be Light out of the actual base card and then put white behind. This time I'm going to cut it out. I've cut it out of gold, and I've tried to leave it in the die itself because it's quite a fiddly and kind of delicate lettering, and so not all the letters are connected. So what I've done is I've put sticky back tape, double-sided tape on the back of the letters on the back of the card before I cut it. And then I'm now just going to take off all the backing, making sure that all the letters stay in place. And then we're going to stick that on the front of our card. And then the little eye off light, I just missed that out. I don't know how it popped out. It, you know, didn't stay. It's so tiny. It's easy to miss out. So what I thought I'd do instead is use some of these really super tiny gems from Anita's, which is a Dovecraft West Design product. And I'm going to use just the little yellowy one. And just take out one. They're super, super tiny. So I'm going to use the really fine tip on my B6000. Make a tiny little dot and stick the gem on. You probably saw me using this tool here to stick that gem on. I really like this tool. This is from Dove Craft, so DRK Crafts, and it's a gem picker. I think it's called a gem picker tool. I'll try and put the link down in the description below. For all of the products that you go to DRK Crafts for, so the Storyteller pad, the gem picker tool, if you use my code LouiseMakes, that will get you 5% off your order. But this is really good. It's got like a waxy end to it, and then like a little, it's not really a pointy, it's kind of like a gem. It's for gems and things, but it's just such a good tool. I use this all the time. I find sometimes tweezers aren't the best, especially for things like as small as that little gem. So this does the trick really well. Any little die cut pieces and whatever. So there you go. So there is your finished card. I'm actually super pleased with this. And then inside there, you've got a little place to put your gift card. And then I think I will probably make a little white piece here that will just be hidden, just a little white rectangle here to put your message on. If you wanted to, you could do it, as I said, on the back of here, or you could do it on the back of your card entirely, but I think I'm going to put mine just in here. You could also maybe put something up the top here if you wanted to, a little something decoration or whatever. But yeah, really super happy with that. So there you go, really simple, easy, slimline, cascading trifold card. That's all the right words in all the wrong order, but anyway, you know what I mean. So make sure to check out In Love Art Shop. Go and use my code ICE30 to get yourself 30% off your order up until the end of January 2025. Obviously, I've just mentioned about the Louise Makes, which get you 5% off on DRK Crafts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you again next time. Bye! Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how I made this little gift box armchair. Now I've put a little cuddly toy sitting on it, but obviously you don't have to have him on. I was looking at also lint chocolate bears, because I think there are some that might fit on it. It's quite a boxy sofa, armchair, but I quite like it and it's quite nice. It's a bit different. So each of these is a little gift box. So you can put things in there, and obviously once you've got everything in, you might want to just put a little bit of glue, a little glue dot in, just so they kind of stick in place, they're not falling out. You also might want to put a little glue dot here, just if you end up with bagging like mine did. If you wanted to, you could turn them upside down so you don't have this gaping, you don't have that edge. But yeah, it's quite nice. You can obviously change what you want to do. The papers I used on this was the Storyteller pad from first edition from DRK Crafts, which is this one. So this is available on DRK Crafts. If you use my code LouiseMakes, you'll get 5% off your order. So I just used some of those papers. I deliberately chose kind of the purples and the tealy purples, just to make it kind of look, you know, you could use this for Christmas if you wanted to. But yeah, so that's the project for today. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this gift box, you're going to need quite a few pieces. So I'm going to go through what you need first of all, and then we'll start with all the scoring, whatever. So for the outer piece, you are going to need one piece that is 6 5/8 by 8 3/4. Now I know that's a bit of a weird measurement, but you'll understand why in a bit. You need 2 side arms. So obviously you've got the side arms of the sofa. So those are 5 3/4 by 8. Then you also need one back cushion. The back cushion is measuring 6 1/2 by 9. And then you need one seat cushion, which measures 5 1/2 by 7. So we're going to score them. I've done one of the side arms already. So this is one of the side arms already done. So we're going to measure the other one up, score it up, and then score the other pieces. Okay, so here's the outer for the this armchair. So this is the one that measures 6 5/8 by 8 3/4. So on this one, you're going to score along the long edge at 1.5 and at 7 1/4. And then if you turn it round, you're going to measure, let me turn it around this way. It doesn't really matter which way you turn it round because, you know. And then on this side, you're going to measure, on the short side, you're going to measure at 3/4 and at 4 1/8. Okay, so that is that piece done. Now, obviously, my scoreboard goes from right to left. You may have one that goes from left to right, which makes more sense. So don't worry if yours, you know, is the wrong way around or whatever. It doesn't really matter because we can, you know, it's kind of symmetrical. Well, it's not, but it'll work. It'll work. Okay, so next up we're going to go for the back piece. This is the back cushion. So this is the piece that measures 6.5 by 9, and on this one we are going to score at 1 1/4. So this is on the short side. And at 5 1/4. Okay, and then along the long edge you're going to score at 3 inches, at 4 1/4, at 7 1/4, and at 8 1/2. Okay, so that's all your measurements done for that one. Now I have actually added in, so where you've just done your 7 1/4, if you do a score line at 7 3/4 and you just come down as far as the first score line here, so come to here and stop, and do the same at the bottom here, just come up and just stop. That is actually going to be a cut line, but it just shows where your tabs are going to be. It just makes life easier. And similarly, if you turn it round so that your 1/2 inch tab is at the bottom, at the top here, you want to kind of score at 3/4 of an inch, and you want to come down to past just literally to the second score line. So I've got a score line here, and I've got a score line here, and you want to come just before that, so 3/4 and stop, and then you want to do the same at 5 3/4, just come down to there. And all this is, you're actually going to cut along these lines. So if you want to, you can draw them in pencil. You just turn it over so you can see, hopefully you can see that a bit better. You can see my score lines a bit better. So if you see here, I've just come down and then I stop where the other line, the second score line is, okay? And that is just an indication of where your tab's going to be. So if you want to, you can draw that on in pencil. It's fine, but I just thought we may as well score it while we're here. So that's that one done. Next up, we need to do this is the side arm. So on this one, I'm going to turn this over because I don't know if you can see my score lines I've already done. So on this one, you're going to score at 1 1/4 all the way top to bottom, and at 4 1/2 all the way top to bottom. Then we are going to turn this, and then we're going to score at 2 1/2 all the way. We're going to score at 3 3/4 all the way, at 6 1/4 all the way, and at 7 1/2. Now, while you've got it in this position as well, where your 7 1/2 is, you want to score at 6 3/4 just as far as the first score line, and then up from the bottom up to the first score line there. Again, these are just tabs. And then if you turn this round so that whole section is at the bottom, you then want to score at 3/4 and again down past the first score line, stop at the second score line, and also at 5 inches past the first score line, stop at the second score line. Okay, and again, they are just tabs. Now, I don't know how well you can see my score lines on here, but once I start folding and cutting, you'll see. Okay, so that is your side arms. And the only piece left to do is this piece, which I think is the seat cushion. So on this one, if you want to put it into your scoreboard, and you're going to score at 1 1/4 all the way top to bottom, and at 4 1/4. And then if you turn it round, You are then going to score at 2 inches, at 3 1/4, at 5 1/4, and at 6 1/2. And then with it like this, you're going to go at 5 3/4 and score down until you get to that first score line. You can stop just a bit short of it, and the same up from the bottom, just stop short of that first score line, and then turn it with your 1/2 inch tab at the bottom, and you're going to score at 3/4 again, all the way down past the first score line, stop just short of the second score line, and again at 4 3/4, same again, so stop just short of the second score line again. So that is all of your scoring done. So now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to start with the outer, and we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of our score lines. Right, so this is your outer piece. So if you have it this way round with your 1/2 inch, your 3/4 of an inch section at the bottom, what we're going to do is we are going to cut. Now again, if you want to actually measure it, you can, but you want to go about 1/2 inch up from this score line and just cut in, because this is going to be a tab here. So you're literally going to do like a 1/2 inch roughly. Doesn't matter if it's not, exact. That's a bit wobbly, but it doesn't matter. And the same on this side, like that. And then here we're going to cut all the way down straight, all the way to that first score line. Okay, so you end up with this, and then you want to notch this one out. So notch there and here. You don't want to notch this though, leave that as a straight line. You want to repeat this whole thing again over here, and what I would do is when you're cutting, make sure you cut to this side of the score line, so you're basically cutting the score line out, as it were. So we're going to go all the way down. If you want to use a craft knife, find that easier, you can. And then we're going to notch this out here and notch this out here. Okay, so that is that bottom section there. Then if we come over here, we're going to turn it round completely the other way. So what was at the bottom is now at the top. And here we're going to cut all the way down, straight line, all the way down to there, like that. And the same on this side. And then I'm going to turn this side on, and again we want a tab here. So again I'm just going to eye it, roughly do about 1/2 inch, and then just notch it. It doesn't matter if these tabs aren't exact, because you're not really going to see them, they're just inside. And you can do the same on this side. So cut about, if you want to, you can put your red tape on first, and then that gives you a guide as to how big you need your tab to be. So I'm going to do that like that. Okay, so that should leave you with this. Now, one thing I have discovered, which I quite like to do, is to round these two corners here. So I'm going to fold that down like that, bring in my corner rounder. You don't have to do this, but I just think it makes it look a bit more sofa-y. And we're going to round that edge there, and we're going to round that edge there. Okay. We're also going to round these two here as well, and again you don't have to, but I just think it makes it look a bit more sofa-y and a bit more, a bit nicer. Okay, so we end up with that. So now what we want to do is go ahead and put red tape here and here, and on these two little tabs here. Right, so now with it like that, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the front. This is the front, and we're going to take the backing off of there, and then you're just going to bring this up, bring that up at a nice right angle, and stick that together. If you want to, you can leave this to the end, and then you can kind of fit it around your boxes, but I've discovered that this is slightly bigger than you need it. Obviously it depends on what weight of card you're using. So I'm quite confident it's going to work. So I think what we might do is I might just do the front, and then we will leave the back section. So what will happen is they will come up, and that will come up like that, and that's your kind of like your outer. But I'm going to leave that for now, just to make sure that our boxes definitely fit in it. So we'll put this to one side for now. Right, so let's start with one of the side arms. So here's a side arm. I'm going to turn it over and hopefully you can see my things a bit better. So I'm going to go ahead now and just burnish and fold and burnish all of my score lines. Okay, so there's all my score lines burnished. The only ones I haven't burnished obviously are the ones that are going to be for the tabs. So we're actually going to cut down those now. So what we want to do is we're going to cut all the way along that score line that we haven't burnished. We're going to cut all the way along there. Mine isn't very straight. And then what we want to do is this line here that we have actually burnished, we're going to cut all the way down there like that. And then we're just going to angle this because these are tabs. And again, just here, angle like that. And then this one here, we're going to angle. Okay, so you end up with that. And we're going to repeat this whole thing on the other side. So you should end up with that. So I'm going to turn this round now. And up here, what we're going to do is we're going to cut straight down here. And we're going to stop at that second score line. Same on this side. And then we are going to cut along that score line that we made, which is like our tab line, as it were. And mine's a bit wonky, but it's fine. And we're just going to angle that in because these are going to be like the tabs at the top. So actually, this is probably needs a little bit neater because you are actually going to see this. So let's just make that a little bit neater. And we're going to do the same on this side. And then the other thing that I like to do is on this bit here, I like to round these edges. Now, if you want to, you can just kind of mitre them slightly, but I do like that round edge look. So I'm actually going to use my corner rounder and just round off these edges. So it looks like that. Okay. So now we want to go ahead and put tape just on these 4 tabs here. Don't put them on these. I have made that mistake before. You only want to put them on these 4 here. Right, so then with that, what you want to do, these 2 little ones here, I'm going to take both of them off at the same time because it's kind of easier to do when it's flat. Just be aware, obviously, the other one is, you know, open and sticky. And then what we want to do is we're going to fold that over, bring this up to make a nice 90-degree angle, fix that in, and the same on this side. And then we're going to fold this in, and that's going to go in there. So we're going to take off the backing there and then fold this up, and then this is going to stick in here like this. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Take the backing off and then just pop that in. Fold that in, fold it up square and stick it down. And then all you need to do is fold these over and pop down the lid, and that should nicely tuck in without too much trouble. So you obviously want to make 2 of those, so you should end up with 2 that look like that. So those are your back cushions. Bear in mind, if you're using a right way up pattern like I was, you want to make sure that so basically it would have been this way, so you want to make sure that your pattern is facing side on. Yeah, so that's those 2. So let's do the back cushion next. So with this one, we're doing exactly the same as what we've done for the side arm. So if we turn it round, so you've got your tab at the top there, and then your 2 little lines, and then your 2 tab lines that way. So we are going to go again down this line here. In fact, let's just fold and burnish first. It makes it easier. So let's fold and burnish all of our score lines. And then we're going to come in and we're going to cut down this score line here in a straight line. And the same on the other side. And again, just make sure you cut that score line out. So what we're going to do first of all, we've done that bit there. So now we're just going to cut all the way along these tabs here. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So you should end up with that. So then turn our attention to the top. We turn it round. we want to cut down straight down this line here, so past your 3/4 inch tab all the way down to the second score line, and the same on this side. And then you're going to cut across the score line you haven't burnished, which is your tab score line, and you need to be a bit more exact with your cutting on this one. And then we're going to notch these little tabs out again. Don't notch them out too much, because these are what's going to hold the lid shut. So you want a little bit, but not loads. And like we did before, I'm just going to go ahead and round the edges of these, of the tab at the top. So you should end up with that. So then, which is the same as we did before, we're going to put red tape on these 4 tabs here. And then we're going to do the same as we did with the other box. We're going to take these 2 little tab, the tape off the backing off the 2 little tabs, and then we're going to fold them in, fold it up, stick it down nice and square. Same on this side. And then we just need to take the tape off the backing off here, and then fold it in and stick it nice and square on there like that. And the same on this remainder one. Then you're going to fold your side tabs in, fold that over and stick that in. So that is your back cushion done. Okay, so I'm going to put that over with the others. And then last but not least, we've got the seat cushion. So again, let's go ahead and fold and burnish all of our score lines. And then we're going to do exactly the same as we've already done. So we're going to come, so if you have it again with your little 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch tab at the top, your 2 lines and then your other lines there. And we're going to cut along there again, exactly the same as what we've done for all the other boxes. Now at this point, I just want to quickly show you an alternative with your tape. So you know before where we've notched all these out and whatever. If you want to, you can go ahead and put tape on here first, and then do all your cutting out. It just saves you having to angle your tape, because you might have noticed where I have kept turning, like, you know, put the tape at the top and then I've put the tape at the bottom and then I put the tape at the top and I've moved it around. It's because I'm having to angle the tape when I cut it so I don't end up with a bit left over, so like hanging off the edge. So if you want to, this makes things a little bit easier. You can go ahead, just add your tape on to those 2 pieces there, like that. Then you cut up your score line that you haven't burnished, and then you can go ahead and notch these out, and you're automatically cutting your tape and your tab at the same time, which means you've got tape coverage all the way to the edge of your tab, and you're not having to cut bits of tape. You're only having to cut 2 bits of tape rather than 4. So then at the top, we're going to do the same as we did before. If we turn it round, you're going to cut straight down again past the first line to the second line. And then you're going to cut along that line that you've scored but not burnished. And then you're just going to notch those tabs slightly. So then take the corner rounder if you want to, and we're just going to corner round that top bit there. And then we're going to stick it together exactly the same way as we've done with all the other boxes. So we're going to take off the backing off the small tabs, stick those down, and then take the backing off these and stick those down. And then you should be able to fold that over, stick that down, and that should hold in place. Right, so if we bring all of our boxes in, okay, so what's going to happen is you've got your 2 side cushions. So these are going to fit in there like that. And I can already see that is going to fit. So I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to stick this first and then add the boxes in. Okay, so there's your outer. And then we want to take our side cushions. And if you want, if yours is gaping a little bit like mine is, you might want to maybe put it the other way around, or you might want to just stick that in with a little bit of tape just at the top there so it doesn't gape quite so much. But they're going to go like that. Your back one, which you made like this, actually is going to go this way up. Okay, so you made it this way round. You actually want it this way up, and that's going to go in the middle there. And then your seat cushion is going to, so obviously it was that, that's where your lid is. It's going to fold like that, and it's going to sit in the middle there. And so there you have your little armchair. Now if you want to, you can make little cushions for it, but I think I'm going to leave mine like that. I had thought about trying to find a chocolate teddy bear that I can get to sit on the cushions, and obviously if you want to add little extra things you can, but it's quite a cute little armchair. And obviously, as I say, you can decorate it however you want to. If you want to, you can make little covers that go over the top, so you've almost got like a blanket, almost like a little throw on it. But yeah, it's quite nice. It's quite boxy. I did see one that had like curved arms on, which looks way nicer, but I'm not quite sure how. It's just a lot of faff. I really didn't have the mental brain space to have a go with that, so I've made mine quite boxy. So there you go. So that is the armchairs. Everyone, so today I want to show you how I made this ornament. Again, a little decoration. Mine's quite large. If you make smaller circles, then you wouldn't have to you wouldn't end up with it being quite so big. So I have used the Trim It glitter felt that I got from DRK Crafts. These are really nice sheets, and they're single-sided, but they're really good for things like this. And I actually die cut these out, so they do die cut really well. Obviously it does flatten them a little bit, but they do die cut. So I'm going to show you now how I made this. Now this is quite large. The circles I used were about 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. This finished one is about 5 1/4 wide, so it is quite a wide, it's quite a big ornament, but obviously you can make it smaller if you just use a smaller circle. So don't forget to use my code LouiseMakes over on DRK Crafts, and that will get you 5% off your order. So let's get into it. So for this project, you're going to need 6 circles in total. Now these are probably a bit on the large side. You could probably go with a bit smaller than this. It depends how big you want your decorations to be. But anyway, we're going to work with these. So you want to take your first one, and if you fold it over turn it over to the other side, and we're going to add a blob of hot glue here. You're going to take your other one, and that is going to overlap, and it's really up to you how much you overlap them. That's about what I've gone with. And then we are going to put some more glue just on here. Fold this over, making sure it comes up along there and then lines up. So you're folding it in half, but you want to make sure that where this folds up, it's right where this one joins, as it were. Okay, so like that. And then we're going to put some more glue on here. And then this one's going to fold up next to it like that. So you have this kind of like a, I don't know what you'd call it, but it looks pretty anyway. It reminds you of petals of a flower, if I'm honest. So that's what you're going to start with. So you're going to do that with all of your pieces. So then you're going to take your each one of these, and you're going to put a bit of glue down the side. Take the next one, make sure it's the opposite colour, and stick the two together as neatly as you can. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a 5-point, not a 6-pointer. I think the problem was this is too much of a right angle, so you want them to be not quite so much a right angle. So it is a case of trial and error, because I'm not quite sure how you make them exact. On the little short video I saw, they made it look super easy. Then in the middle here, I'm going to put some of these on. Now I know they're flowers, but they're 5-pointing, and I just think they're quite nice because they're kind of shiny. I don't know whether the work still do these, but I'm sure you can find something similar. You could put a pearl in the middle, you could put something along those lines. So let's just get one of these. I'm going to have one on either side, and I'm actually going to hot glue the flower. I know there's stickers already, but you really do need to. Okay, so then the other thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and add some ribbon. Now, I think on the video I saw, they didn't actually stick these middle bits together, but these were like really open. So that's why I decided to add the glue on. So when you put the glue on, maybe just put some on the middle rather than right up the top. But we're just going to go ahead and add the ribbon. So I've got about 8 inches of ribbon here. So I'm just going to fold it in half. I'm going to add a little dot of glue on here and on here. Grab our ribbon and put it in the middle. Okay, so there's your finished ornament. And obviously I've got a few creases, so just have a bit of a play around. Maybe don't stick the, we're in the middle here where you've stuck them together, maybe don't stick them together. But yeah, it's quite a nice little project, really cute, nice and easy to make, nice and light. So there you go. So I hope you liked it. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Hi everyone, so today I want to show you this card. Now this is a 6x6 framed half hexagonal pop-up card, and I actually made, and this was my original design from 2 years ago, but I keep seeing on Pinterest different versions of this popping up from different people, and I'm not credited on them, which doesn't surprise me because all it takes is for one person not to give credit, and then other people see that particular video and they don't know where it come from, so that's just the way it goes. So that's fine. But I thought, you know what, since it seems to be popular shape at the moment, let me make another one of my own design. So this one I've done slightly differently. I think when I did it originally, I didn't have these back pieces here, and the measurements were slightly different as well. So I've also done it in an 8x8. I think I did a 5x7. I'll try and link all the videos that I did originally in the description below so you can see them. This card that I'm doing today, I'm actually using my own papers. So I'm using this pad, which is the Silent Night pad, which hopefully will be out when this video goes up. I've literally just sent it off to be published yesterday at the time of filming, but hopefully it will be up and ready to go. So this will be out, and it's got lots of lovely, it's very similar to the digital kit I did, except for I've added in a couple of embellishments at the back, but you've got pretty much the same patterns in there. So yeah, it's a really nice pad, so go and check it out. The digital kit is also still available. That's on Etsy, so go check that out. The dies I've used on here, I've used In Love Art Shop Merry Christmas. That also comes with a really nice star. There's another one at the back there you can't really see. A couple of snowflakes and a little cluster of 3 stars. Again, you can sort of see them. So that's one set. And then the other set that I've used is this tree. There's like 2 sets of trees, and then a little row of houses with little rooftops. So that's the other one I've used. So I'll link all of those in the description below, and I'll also link them in the top corner as I use them throughout the video. The card that I've used for the Merry Christmas, this beautiful rose gold, and also for the housetops, it's actually a Dovecraft rose gold mirror card, and I will link that in the description below as well, and I'll try and put a link up here. So yeah, so that's I think everything. It folds down flat, fits in an envelope for a 6x6, so let's get into it. Okay, so for this card you're going to need one piece of base card that is 6x6, and this one you are going to score at 2 inches and at 4 inches. Then you need 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 7, and you're going to score half an inch on either side, so you're going to score half an inch and at 6.5 inches. And you're also going to score at 2.5 inches and at 4.5 inches. So you're going to repeat the same on this one. So you're scoring at 1/2 inch, at 2.5, at 4.5, and at 6.5. And then we're just going to fold and burnish all of our score lines on the 6x6. So these are all going the same way. So you should end up with that. And then these, again, you're just folding them all the same way. And then we're going to take our strips and we're going to put some red tape just on these tabs here. So all 4 tabs need red tape on them. So you should end up with that. So now what we're going to do is we need to decorate these panels here. So for this you need 6 pieces of mat that are 1.25 by 1.75 and 6 pieces of pattern that are 1 inch by 1.5. So these are going to go obviously all along there like that, and then all along here like that. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to go ahead and stick these on first before we do these panels. You can do this middle panel if you want. You are going to need in total 3 panels of mat that need to be 1.75 by 5.75 and 3 pattern pieces that are 1.5 by 5.5. And so these are going to go on here like this, but I'm going to just stick the middle down for now, and then we'll stick these 2 on afterwards. Okay, so you should end up with that. Now what we're going to do is on these tabs, I'm just going to notch them just slightly. And then I'm going to take one of my pieces, and these are going to go on the front like that. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure, you can if you want put these around the back, but I just think if you do it this way you're not going to have problems, because otherwise you're going to have to trim this down a little bit because they probably won't fit round, and it also makes it a bit more bulky. So I'm going to stick it on the front like that because your pattern pieces are actually going to hide them. So we're going to take the backing off. Now I am going to be adding an extra thing, an extra item in here, but I want to put these on first because this needs to be hidden. These tabs need to be hidden. So I've taken the backing off one of the tabs, and I'm just going to stick that down like that. And then we're going to flip this back, take the backing off this side. If you do it like this, it just means then that you don't end up with it going wonky. So if we just bring this over like that, so that's that bottom section done, and then we're going to do the same on the top. Okay, so that is that put in. So now we can go ahead and add these pieces, and these are going to go in the sides here. And as you can see, it's a bit more fiddly to stick them in, but it just means you're hiding those pieces. If you want to, you can stick these 2 down, put that in, and then put this across, and then you've only got one piece that's fiddly, but it's fine. It's not that difficult. If you're using wet glue, it's easier. Obviously using tape, it's a bit more tricky. In fact, I think I will use, no, I'm not. I'm going to use tape. In fact, I might just do a bit of a mix of the 2. My thought process behind using a mix of the 2 is that where the tabs are, I really want there to be tape, but then the rest of it can be glue. So I'm going to do a bit of a mix. So before we go further, I'm going to go ahead and put this white piece on the back. Now you can do a matte if you want, and then a white piece, and I thought I had done that, but anyway. So your white piece will either be the size of the pattern if you decide to go for that, or if you decide to go for the size of the mat and don't do a mat, then it will be the size of the mat. So that's going to go on the back. Okay, so that's the back done. So if you wanted to, you could put pattern paper here as well if you want to. I'm going to leave mine plain, or you could just have 3 white pieces. It's really up to you. So that is that done so far. Now I have this die cut here, which has come from In Love Art Shop, which I would have probably already mentioned. So don't forget to use my code ICED30, which will get you 30% off your order. links in the description below, and I'll try and put a link to it up here in the corner. So I've cut this out. Now you'll see the line, see where the line is, that's where it should cut, but I've done a partial die cut. Same with this one, there's a bit of a line there and that's where it should cut, but I've actually partially die cut it to make it slightly taller than it, than it should be. What we need to do now is we need to score this, because I want this to go in the back here, one there, and then I want this one in front of it so that they kind of are like that in the back, and I want them to be flush with the back of the card. So for that reason I'm going to need to score them. Now because these actually measure 5.5 and my card is obviously 6, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shimmy that over so that this is 1/4 of an inch in and that finishes at 5 3/4, and then I can score as I did per the card. So I can score at 2 inches and I can score at 4 inches, and we're going to repeat that on this one. So I'm going to put this in again, line it up with 1/4 and 3/4, just get it kind of central, and then again score at 2 and at 4. And then I also have this, this also comes with that same die set. It's a little set of houses and it's got roofs as well. Now this is going to be a bit more tricky to score, but nevertheless I would like to score it. So it measures about 4 1/4, so half of that is 2 1/8. So if I find halfway of 6, because that's the width of my card, and then measure 2 1/4 to the right, 1 2 oh sorry 2 1/8 to the right, which is there. So 1 1/8, that's where the edge needs to come to, and then on the other side 5 1/8 is 2 1/8 that way. So now we can go ahead and score at 2 inches, and as I said, this isn't going to be easy because we're going to have to score through roofs and things, and at 4 inches. If you wanted to have it flat you could, you just need to work out like a little box or some way of having it in so that it will do that. So then we're just going to go ahead and just fold this and bend it. Doesn't need to fold completely, just needs to fold enough that it's going to fit in the card. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this over like that, and we're going to do the same with these. Now be aware that obviously doing any of this, because of the thickness of the card, you are going to end up with a bit of bulk quite happily, but thankfully this folds flat like this, so at least that helps. But these are going to go in and they're going to stick down. And I think what I'm going to do is stick one down first and just stick that in there so it lines up with the bottom like that, and stick that in. In fact, what I might do actually is I'm just going to stick the back in, and I'm going to leave this sticking forward like that because it gives it a little bit extra dimension, and I think that might be a better idea. So let's just stick down this middle panel. So on hindsight, I think I prefer these actually stuck down fully and then maybe just do the centre panel trick with this one. But that's fine, it's not going to be too difficult because I can just kind of bring my card up and then just add some glue onto here and stick it down. Okay, so I've stuck the back down, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to stick this down. I am just going to stick the middle. I think that is going to be all I'm going to want to stick it with. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should stick it with silicone glue, but I'm going to go straight with just normal glue and hope for the best. So yeah, I quite like the fact that that one isn't stuck on the sides because it kind of gives it a bit more of a 3D look to it. Okay, so then what we want to do is I've cut out this Merry Christmas, which also comes with little star dies as well. I've got them all here, little snowflakes and a couple of other little stars. And so I want to stick those onto the back first, really, because the idea is this is going to go kind of maybe around here-ish, and then we're going to have our little bank of houses at the bottom here. I'm going to put them behind, I think. So that's the idea. I could put them going the other way at the front. I could have them actually there, but I prefer them here, I think. So I'm going to put those there like that, and then my Merry Christmas is going to go over the top like that. So what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a very thin line of red tape on here, and then I'm going to stick that behind there. So these don't have anything stuck on them, but I have got it sort of anchored elsewhere. Just need to make sure my score lines add up. And then what I'm going to do is these little stars, I'm just going to put them at the back in various places on the sides, maybe a couple at the top here. This is a little bit big, but I'm going to just tuck it just behind the houses, so it's like that. And I think that kind of works, because then it's the house, you know, it's kind of, there's only a little bit of the greeting that's behind. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick these down. Okay, so then I'm just going to go ahead and stick the Merry Christmas sentiment on as well. Okay, so there you have the finished card. Hopefully you can see, the light's going a bit, but hopefully you can see at the back there. I've actually got to put a little cluster of stars in there. And yeah, I'm quite impressed with it. It looks really nice. And I quite like it tucked behind the house. So there you go. So that is what I've done. So this is, as I said, one of my previous original designs. The whole thing folds flat like that and will fit in an envelope for a 6x6 card. So yeah, so I hope you liked it. Make sure you go and check out my paper pads on Amazon. They're available on Amazon, so check them out. I'll put a link in the description to this one. This one's Silent Night. Make sure you go and check out In Love Art Shop and use my code ICED30, which will get you 30% off up to the end of January 2025. So that's for these dies here, these and all the little stars and the snowflakes. And yeah, I'll see you again next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone. So today we're going to make one of these, which is like a Christmas bauble you can hang on your tree. It's really easy to make. You might have these kind of shaker card dome things, I don't know what you call them. You might have those already in your stash. If you don't, you might have packaging potentially that you could use. You know, when we buy things, packaging, and it has like a dome shaped acetate cover to it or whatever, you might be able to use one of those. You could really get creative. So these are actually some that I was given, and they were used, they were, you know, there's purposed for being used as shaker cards. But yeah, I just thought it might be quite fun to do something else with them. So I've just filled it with some little silver, white and gold glitter balls. These were from DRK Crafts. I'll put a link up on the screen and also in the description below for them. If you use my code Louise Makes, you'll get yourself 5% off your order. And they've got a lot of Black Friday deals on at the time of filming. I don't know whether by the time this goes up those will still be on, but they've got some good deals on there anyway, and last time I checked these balls were quite a good price anyway, even without deals. So yeah, so it's nice and see-through. I've put some little peel-offs that I had in. So yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so for this project you're going to need some of these. Now these, I've never had these before. I actually got given these, and they're like domed elements for shaker cards, and I got given this pack. So you've got square ones, like clover shaped ones, and I think they're hexagons, but you can get round ones, you can get all different sizes online. Now I have tried to link below some links to some that I saw on Amazon. They might be slightly different because these are not really like, they're kind of domed, but they've kind of, the ones I saw on Amazon were more like literally a dome, but actually they'd be better for what we're doing here. But you know, you can get different ones basically. So I've got 2 of them, and these did come with cards that have little apertures cut out in the right size, so you can actually make cards out of them. So you could use this same technique using the card blanks and make a card out of it. So that's another option. But I thought, let's make a little decoration. Nice and easy to do. So I'm going to be using, got a big box here full of bells. This is all from one of my demo days. But I've also got these snowballs. These little gold, silver and white iridescent polystyrene balls with glitter on. Now these are DRK Crafts, and they do have them on their website. When I checked at the weekend, they did have them. So we're going to be using those. We're also going to be using this pom-pom trim, and again, this was from DRK Craft, so it was a Dove Craft, I believe. I think it was a Heltz couple ditch, and I'm not sure whether DRK have got them on their site anymore. If they have, I will list it below. If not, I will try and list an Amazon link for, or even Craft Stash, they might have them as well. I'll have a look and see, and I'll put links down below if I can find any of this. But you could use anything. I have actually got some paper chase ribbon that's kind of like pastel colours with like tassel-y type things on them. And again, you could use anything like that, any kind of like trim, nice kind of trim, or even sequin trim you could use, anything like that really. So we're going to start with these two here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some red tape, and I've got the super thin stuff. I'm not sure where this massive roll came from. My craft lady gave it to me, but I don't know what company it came from, but it's a massive great roll, but it's quite thin. So I'm going to run a thin of red tape just all the way around on this flat bit of this aperture here. So I've done that there, and I'm also going to add one more line just on one of the sides on this other side. I'm not actually going to do it all the way around, but because of where the ribbon is going to be, I do need to just add another little bit in, just so that then the ribbon is trapped. So talking of ribbon, let us get that on. So let's grab my pin, and then I'm just going to peel off the backing on this one. Just make sure it's really well stuck down before you start trying to peel off backings. And then I've cut myself out a little bit of ribbon, and this is about what, about 8 inches, 7 inches, like that. And I'm folding it in half. In fact, let's do one bit first actually. Let's just do one bit. So we're going to take this and we're going to stick this down halfway, like that. And I'm just going to run a little bit more red tape over the top of that piece, and then stick the other one on the top, because otherwise there's nothing in between, and you then potentially got a gap where the contents of your bauble, I'll call it a bauble for now, your decoration, can escape. So we're going to run a little bit of red tape just over the top there like that. Again, just make sure it's nicely stuck down. Take the backing off, and then we're going to fold this in half and just stick that over the top like that. So there you've got your little hangy thing. And then we are going to, and I think the best way to do is to fill this one up. So we're going to fill this side up, and you really could fill it with anything. Now, depending on the size of your domes, you could potentially fill this with chocolates. I was planning to do that. I was going to put Quality Street in here, but Quality Street are a little bit big for this. I did think about Lindor balls as well, but again, they're a bit too deep. But some of the domed ones you can get on Amazon are deeper. So if you get a deeper one that's more of a dome, then you could actually get some decent chocolates in here. So I'm just going to go with little polystyrene balls. Mine's going to be more of a decorative bauble rather than a functional, it's got sweets in it bauble. And I'm just going to put a whole load in here. So I'm going to put some in, and I'm going to fill it quite full, because you have to remember that although you're filling, you know, that's like pretty much almost level, you're going to put another one on top, so they're going to have more space to move. And you do want them to have a bit of space, but you just don't want, like, you know, loads of space and no little balls anywhere. So we're just going to put those in like that. If you wanted to, you could whack a bell in as well. I'm not going to, I don't think. I'm just going to leave it with balls, and I think I'm going to go with that many. And then we're going to go ahead, and I think we will take, now part of me wants to do this bit by bit, and I want to take them off bit by bit. However, I think the best bet is going to be to take them all off, because I feel that I might have a bit of a problem doing them bit by bit. So I'm going to take them all the backing off now, and hopefully this won't backfire. Put all this off like this, and then we're going to grab this. Now just remember, you might have static, so they might suddenly jump up and start sticking on here, so just bear that in mind. So we're going to bring this in, and we're going to try and seal this as best we can, making sure that all the edges line up. And then we're just going to go over, give it a really good press down all the way around like that. So as you can see, when it's upright, you see I've literally, it's half full, it's literally half full. But I don't mind. I mean, I probably would have filled it a bit more than that. The other way you could do it is you could just seal the bottom half, hold it up so you can see, and then add more in if you want to. I'm going to leave it like that. It's fine, because I think I've got a bit of a plan as to what we can do so that it's not completely blank. I like the fact you've got a bit of room. But what I wanted to do as well was around this outside here, I wanted to stick some of this, because I just thought that might be quite fun to have baubles. So we're going to add some more red tape. You could hot glue gun it. That might be a better way. It might stick better. I'm going to hot glue gun. I'm going to red tape it and hope for the best. So again, I'm just going to go ahead now and add red tape on the outside edge of my bauble. Okay, so I've put red tape all around the outside of both sides, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and let's work out where we're going to start. I think we'll probably actually let's start at the top. Should we start at the top? Yeah, we'll start at the top. So if we take off the backing on this top section here, and then grab our pom-pom trim or whatever it is you're going to use, and I'm going to start in the middle because potentially I can hide the join with a bow. So we're going to start off there like that and stick it all the way around there, and then we're just going to keep going around every corner, sticking it down as we go. And it should, yeah, because it's got this kind of zigzaggy kind of a pattern, you know, the way it's been made, so it kind of goes around corners quite nicely. So I'm going to keep going all the way around. Okay, so that's that side done, and I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side as well. But this time what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and offset my pom-poms. So where I've got a pom-pom on this side, in between those two, I'm going to try and get this pom-pom to be in between. You don't have to do that, but I just like the symmetry of it. And it might not work depending on how equally spaced they all are. But anyway, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a whirl and see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that, so that's worked quite well. So obviously you've got half of that free. So I think what we're going to do now, before we stick the bows on, I've got my hot glue gun heating up over here. I found a couple of bows. I would like gold ones, but I've gone for this kind of ivory creamy colour because I think that works as well. And then I've also found these Merry Christmas peel-offs. And we all have I'm sure we all have peel-offs in our stash that we just don't use. So I've gone for these, and I just think they're going to look really nice on the front of the bauble. And then on the back I've found these little flowery, it came out of a Christmas set, but there's like little snow and I don't know, snowflakes and little spinny flowery things. So I thought I could do that on the back. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick a Merry and a Christmas on the front. Okay, so I've gone ahead and added a Merry Christmas on the front there, and on the back I've just put a few little snowflakey, flowery, I don't know what they are, things on there. So now I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue gun our little bow onto the top. So there you have your finished little bauble. So nice and easy to make, a little bit fiddly in places, but it all depends on what you use. Obviously you could fill that a little bit more if you wanted to, and also you could put chocolates in. I quite like the fact they're static. Normally we don't really like static, but I quite like the fact they're kind of hanging on. You can actually can even trace them with your finger. Look, ooh, it's like a little game. This is, look, whee! The fun you can have with Christmas decorations. But yeah, quite a nice little thing. I quite like the pom-pom trim. It's turned out quite well actually. I'm quite impressed with myself. So here we go. Yeah. So I probably would have filled it maybe a little bit more, although I don't mind it, it's fine. But yeah, so there you go, look quite nice. And this whole thing, because obviously it depends on what size pouches you get, but the one that I've got here, the whole thing as well with the pom-poms, you're measuring about 5.5 inches at its widest point. So it's a decent kind of decoration, but it's super light. Like, it's really light, it's not heavy. So although it's a big decoration, I think this would be quite good as well for maybe, like, you know, baby's first Christmas or something like that. You could put a picture of them in there, maybe have it stuck on the back one. and then you could maybe put something on the back to cover it up, or I don't know, you could have it so it's halfway. You could have like an inner with the baby's picture on both sides, and then have, you know, snowflakes, or I don't know, sequins or whatever you want on it. So it's quite flexible. You can do all sorts of things with it, but it's just something to do, because I'm sure some people have probably bought these, you know, in the past and then just didn't end up using them. But it's just quite a nice, easy way to sort it, especially if you bought them thinking you'd use them as shaker cards, but then didn't have dies that would fit that you could cut out with. So this is just a good way of using them. You haven't got to worry about die cuts. You can just, you know, use them. The other thing as well is packaging as well. You know, sometimes you get dies and things and they got packaging, and there's acetate on the front and it's raised slightly because you've got the die underneath it or whatever it was. You could use it again for that. So again, another little idea, so you don't have to buy things. So in a live stream recently, I made a card which was called a tiered pop-up card, and I did it in a 6x6. So I thought I'd have another go at it, but do it in a 5x7 and do a slightly different variation on it in a couple of senses, just to give you some more ideas of what you can do with this card. There really is lots of different ways you could do this. So this is the card I've made. This is the front of it, nice and simple. On the front, I've used dye from In Love Art Shop. So if you use my code ICE30, that will get you 30% off your order. I'll put a link up here in the corner to that. And then the papers that I've used, and these embellishments here, are all from my Silent Night paper pad. Again, I'll put them up in the corner here. It's available in an 8.5 by 8.5, and it's also available in a letter size as well, and also available as a digital kit. So I will put them all up in here one by one. So you can click on those and that takes you through. Then you open it up and inside you have this. So you've got like a staggered tiered, exactly what it says, a tiered pop-up card. Now the one I did in the live stream, we didn't have these side pieces on. So these were just flat pieces, and then we had a little box that connected everything up. So this is just another way of doing it. So if you want, you know, you can create more of a kind of a box look, and then at the back there you've got somewhere to write. The other thing as well is you could do it this way round, which I quite like. Now I'm sure this way round has been done before, yeah, but I quite like the extra back section because I can't put it down because I've just stuck these down. But if you stand it up, depending on what card you use, it does stand up not too bad. This bit does flap. But on my sample card, I use a slightly thicker base card, and that back section actually held itself up. So that's another way of doing it. So yeah, there's lots of different things you can do. I've used a border punch on here, but if you wanted to, you could use little die cuts coming out. There's lots of things you could do with it, to be honest with you. It folds down. It's relatively flat. I mean, depending on what kind of thickness of card you use, it will be a bit bulky because you have got quite a few layers there, but it will fit in an envelope for a 5x7 card. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need quite a few bits of base card. Now, on my square one that I did, I actually used all the same. Oh no, I didn't use all the same colour actually. I used different colours, but you can use all the same colour if you want to. However, I am actually going to be using 3 different colours. I've got a main base card, which is the navy, but I'm also using gold and white in it because my pattern paper that I want to use on the side and that I want to use on the front has got gold in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the main one. So this is what makes your outside base card, and this is 7x10, and you're just going to score halfway at 5 inches, which will give you a 5x7 card blank. So if you already have a 5x7 card blank in the colour that you want to use, then you can just go ahead and use that. So that's that piece done. So we can put that to one side. So then what you're going to need is 5 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of card. The first one measures 5x7, and all we're going to do on the short side, we're just going to score it at 1/2 inch, and then that can go to one side. Then you need one piece that is 5.5x6, and on the 5.5 side you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, and at 5. Next up, you need a piece that's 5 by 5, and you're going to do the same again. So you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch, and then you're going to score at 4.5. Then you need a piece that's 4 by 4.5, and along the 4.5 inch edge, so the longest edge, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, at 1 inch, and at 4 inches. And last but not least, you need a piece that is 3 by 4, and along the 4 inch edge, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, at 1 inches, and at 3.5 inches. And that is all your scoring done. Right, so we've got all of our layers. So this is the 5 by 7 piece. All of your 1/2 inch tabs need to go on the left, and then all of the, so this one's only got 1 tab on it. These pieces that have got like 2 tabs, as it were, they go on the right. Okay, so if you make sure that all your pieces are that way round. Now, what I'm going to do, so on the one that I did before, I did it like this, so it was all layered up like that. And then we cut trees and we added trees and whatever. However, on this one, I just thought, let's do something a bit different. Let's layer it slightly differently. And also, let's use a border punch. Now, again, if you haven't got a border punch or you haven't got a border die or anything like that, you can just use die cut shapes if you want to, or fussy cut shapes. So if you wanted to like this, you can maybe make this not as tall, make it a little bit narrower, and have things kind of popping out from behind like stars, candles, on all the different layers. So that's another option. You can have them just as flat shapes. With the square one, what I did was I didn't have these 2 pieces here, so we actually had like a little box on the inside, which you would have seen in the intro. But on this one, I thought I'd show you the other way of doing, because I did mention this in my live stream, but I thought, let me show you the other way of doing it. So this way you don't need any extra like little pieces, little boxes and whatever, but it does give you a different look. So just, bear that in mind. So what I'm going to do with this one is I am actually going to punch this. So what I think we should do is I'm going to do all of them, and I'm going to do all of them top and bottom. So let's do that first. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this in, and I am going to line it up. I'm going to line it up so that this is in the center, like that. And I'm going to bring it over one side and punch. Bring it over the other side and punch, and then I'm going to turn it around and do the same again. But by lining it up in the center, it means that hopefully my stars should be pretty much the same top and bottom. So let's just punch this out. Right, so where we have our tabs, I'm going to actually cut down that. Actually, I think I might use a standing knife because I need to go across the whole sort of width of it, because I don't need there to be stars where the tabs are. So that's that one done, and then what we need to do now is just need to bend and fold these pieces over, and then we're going to put, I'm actually going to use red tape on this just because I'm obviously using mirror card. So I'm going to put red tape here, and then red tape just on this end one, not on here. Okay, so that's that piece done. Now, if you want to, you could put a piece of pattern paper on the front here. I might end up doing that, we'll see, because I wanted my greeting to be there, so it might cover it too much that it's not really worth it. So we'll see on that one. But that is that one done. I'm also not very happy about this here. I might end up trimming it, we'll see. Or I might end up putting a star on. No, I can't put a star on. It can't go over that edge, because when it folds up, that is going to be the very edge of your card. So just bear that in mind. So let's move on to this one. So I'm going to do the same with all of these now. So with this one, and this one, I'm going to do the same again. So I'm just going to punch the top and the bottom. Now, one thing about this punch is that this is all the bits that are like the off-cutty bits. But look at all those stars. I've got gold stars, white stars, navy stars. I'm going to keep those and use those on the front, because I think that might be a good way of adding a little bit of bling, a little bit of sparkle on the front with colours that you're already using. But it also means it's not going to add extra weight, like with using gems or whatever. And then I'm just going to throw away the border section. So I've just put them on a little, I have this die cut circles from a previous card, so I've just put them on there, and then I'm going to put that to one side, and then hopefully I can not lose them. Right, so then on these we're going to do exactly the same again as we did on that first piece. I'm just going to cut the star out the way and then add red tape and fold and score. Okay, so we've got all of our layers all cut out, all punched and ready to go. I am actually going to just take that off because I don't like the fact that that's sticking up like that. I'm just going to cut it at a bit of an angle. It's a bit weird, but I think once it's all together and you've got stuff on it, it's not going to be quite so bad. So what we need to do is bring in our card base, and on the front, before we start putting things on the inside, we need a piece of mat that is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 and a piece of pattern that's 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. So that's going to go on the front there. Okay, so I've done the front one. You actually need another one as well for the inside, just to go on here. So exactly the same again, 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 for the mat, 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 for the pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that just on that inside cover. So that's what you should end up with. So then what you want to do on the inside here is you're going to need a white piece. Now, if you want to put a mat on it, you can. I haven't. I've just gone for 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 white. If you want, you can do that as your mat, and then your white would be the same as your pattern, which is 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead, stamp this, and then stick that into place. Okay, so we've stuck that in. So now we're going to take the 5 by 7 piece, and we just need to add some red tape along there, and then I just need to fold and burnish my score line. Okay, so I chose not to miter this tab just because otherwise you're going to see part of this and it will look messy, whereas if you leave this hole, it's just a whole navy piece when you see on the inside. So what we're going to do, I folded and burnished, but I need to lay this flat. I'm going to take the backing off my card and my tape, and I'm just going to take a bit off. I don't want to take the whole thing off. Actually, I am going to take the whole thing off. I'm going to be daring. Take the whole thing off. You want to lay it flat, make sure it's all lined up, and then you want to make sure that this is right up in that crease. And as soon as it's in the crease, you can go ahead and kind of shut the card onto it, so that when you open it, you end up with this little extra flap like this. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to stick a few little stars just top and bottom out of my little star pile, because I think once I've added other pieces in, it might prove a little bit tricky. So I'm going to bring this one in, just lay it on, just so I can kind of see roughly where my, where my gaps are going to be. And then I'm just going to go and add a few little stars on. I'm going to use my little gem picker tool from DRK Crafts, because I really love this, and the wax tip for things like this is perfect. I'm also going to use my B6000 glue because it's nice and fine, and I find it's very good for things like this. Okay, so I've stuck those in. And then what we want to do with these, I'm just going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of my score lines. And then making sure you've got the 1/2 inch tab on this side, you're going to take out your backing tape. And then what we're going to do is bring this card in. I'm going to turn this over. I'm actually going to fold this over. This is a little trick I'd learnt when I was doing the other one. If you fold these over, then as long as you've got both tabs showing, this edge needs to line up with the edge of your card, and if you do that, it just means this sticky bit isn't touching anything, and it just makes it a little bit easier. If you find when you start to lay it down that this tab is a little bit too big, it's actually overlapping, then you will probably just need to just go in with a pair of scissors and just trim it down, just trim a fraction off it so that it will actually fit properly, so it's not going to be overlapping. So let's try that again. So that's going to go in there. Going to line that folded edge up, and then we're just going to stick that down like that, so that then this folds up like this. And then what we need to do now is take the backing off this piece here, and then we're going to hold it like that, take the whole thing and fold it down flat like that. And as you can see, nothing should poke out the side here. So this is why it's better to line this edge up rather than that edge, because this is the bit that matters. So when you open it, that's your first layer done. So I'm quite pleased with that. That works well. Right, so then we need to take the next one, which is the white one, and we're going to do the same again. So I'm going to fold and burnish all of my score lines, and then we are going to take the backing off this side here. I'm going to bring this in. If we just fold that back, bring this in, and just make sure again, if you line that up with there and it's central, that this isn't going to overlap too much. Make sure you do both tabs, not just the one like I just did just then. So let's just make sure that's kind of central top and bottom, which I think it is. Yep, that tab is clearing, so that's good. So that's there. And then we're going to take this off here. If you want to, you can just fold this over onto there rather than shutting it the other way. So that's like that, and then when you pull it up, you have that next layer. Then we want to grab the next one in, and we're going to do the same again. So fold and burnish all your score lines if you haven't already. And then we're going to take the backing off the tape again, bring our card into place, and then again I'm going to fold that over, line it up with the edge of the card, make sure it's kind of central top and bottom, which I think it is. And then when you're happy, you can go ahead, stick that tab down, and then with it in place like this, it's easier this way around actually. And bring the whole thing over and on top of it like that. You do end up with a bit of a bulk here, but this is why I haven't done any patterns and mats. I've just kept it to a single colour, and I quite like the fact it's a single colour like that. And then we're going to do the same with this one, and this is the last one to be added. And there you have your inside done. Okay, so I really like that. One thing I do think it needs on these edges here, I think we need to put some stars. So I'm going to go ahead now and just add some stars onto the edges, just a few. Okay, so that is the inside done. I've cut this out of the pages that were the back of the Amazon paper pad that I've done. And so that's going to go on there like that. And I'm also cutting out for the front. I've already cut this out. This is a die cut that comes from a die set that comes from In Love Art Shop. So if you use my code ICED30, you'll get 30% off your order up until the end of January 2025. So I really like this. Very nice indeed. So you get the actual die, which is cut out of gold, and then you also get the shadow part, which is I've cut out of navy. So that's like the shadow bit. But just really, really nice, really pretty. So that's going to go on the front, but then that is a bit bare. So what I thought I might do is add in some of these stars, and this is also from my paper pad, not from the digital kit, from the paper pad. In fact, I don't know if they were on the digital kit. I'm not sure if they were, but they're definitely on the paper pad anyway. So yeah, so I'm going to fussy cut some of these out, and then we're going to go ahead and stick some down. Okay, so I'm going to go now and start sticking all of this down. Okay, so there we have the finished card. I'm quite happy with the way that's turned out. And then on the inside, you have all your different layers. And then obviously you've got space to write at the back here. But it stands up nicely, like that. You don't have to really tell the recipient what to do. It's pretty obvious when they open it up how it all works. But yeah, so really nice. everyone, so today I want to make this really cute Christmas decoration. Really sweet. So I saw a little video for this and I thought I've got to have a go with that because that is the most adorable Christmas decoration ever. And it's actually super easy to make. Now for this I have actually used the Trimit's glitter felt sheets from DRK Crafts. However, I've had a look on their website and I can't see that they're still available. So you could either get this exact same brand on, I have found them on Amazon, I'll put that link below, or you can have a look on DRK Crafts and they do have normal felt sheets. So you could make them out of normal felt sheets, do different colours and whatever. I'm sure you could glitter them up yourself if you wanted to, or you could just use normal card if you want to. But yeah, I quite like the felt because it's got a bit of sturdiness to it. But I mean, this is quite a sturdy bauble, I have to say. It's quite, I can kind of do this and it's not really squidging. It's quite a sturdy bauble, but obviously with the felt you just get a different kind of dynamic to it than you would with card. But I'm sure you could use card if you wanted to. So yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so for this project, you're going to need 5 squares of 2 colours, so in total 10 squares. And these are all 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So what we're going to do now is going to go ahead and cut all of them in half diagonally. So you should end up with a whole heap of triangles. So now what you want to do is you're going to take one of your triangles, turn it over, so it's on the wrong side, and then we're going to put glue along, so you've got like a long edge and then 2 short edges. So you're going to put glue along one of the short edges. Any glue that you have that splurges out, you can either wipe it off on a piece of scrap card straight away, or you can wait till it cools down and then you can just kind of trim it off. But that is what you're looking for. Okay, so you're looking for that like that. So we're going to make all of these exactly the same. So you should end up with a whole heap of triangles. So then you want to take your triangle and the edge that you've just glued, you're going to run a line of glue down that edge. So this is like your raw edge. Then you're going to take another triangle of a different colour. Make sure that they are both the same way up. So make sure that where your open edges, they're both at the same place, and your cut edges are literally like one on top of the other. And you're going to stick them down like that. So you've got a folded edge, open edge, and this is your glued edge. And then you're just going to continue doing that all the way. And what you want to do really is do 2 halves. It makes it a bit easier. So if you do half of your gold and half of your silver, and then do the other half, and then you can stick them all together. So I'm just going to do half of these. Okay, so I've got there 10 triangles alternating silver, gold, silver, gold, silver, gold all the way along. So that's 10 done, and then I should have 10 left. So I'm going to repeat the same process again. Just make sure when you start, so obviously I've finished with a silver here, so I need to start with the gold on this one. So we're going to do the same again. I started with the gold the first time around, and start with the gold again. And we're going to lay them up again. Keep going until you've finished all your triangles. So you should end up with 2 little banks of triangles, as it were, 2 little wads of triangles. So then if you take one of them, make sure that obviously you've got all the right edges. So all the fold edges are the same way up and the other edges are the same way up. And then you're going to take this one, you're going to run a little bit of glue along here, like this. And then you're going to stick this one on top. Just make sure you get it lined up nicely. So you're going to stick it on top. Press it down, make sure it sticks, and then when you're sure that's kind of dried, you can kind of just make sure it is definitely like cooled and set before you move on, otherwise it will pull apart. And then what you want to do is just gently kind of coax them, and you want to put a line of glue along here, and then you're just going to bring them around and then match up these two. Make sure you try and match up the cut edges together. and you're going to try and stick those together like that. Obviously at the moment I'm just kind of, it's a bit out of shape, but you can tweak that in a moment. I'm just trying to get it so that we can stick that bit together. Once it's stuck together, you can kind of swizzle it out a bit so it's a bit more even. If you've got any gaps or anything kind of unpeeling itself, now is the time to kind of sort it out. Just give it a little bit of a zhuzh like that. So you've got a relatively even bauble. So then what you're going to do is you then want to take 2 pieces of glitter felt, and these measure 1 inch by about 4 inches. Now, depending on what you're using, you might not need 4 inches. You might need less or you might need more. It really depends on the thickness of your fabric or whatever it is, your card or whatever it is you're using, as to what you need for this. So what we're going to do is we need to grab ourselves a piece of thread. So I'm using this glitter braiding cord, and this was from the Works, and it's actually got a bit of elastic in it. So I'm going to be using this, and I'm just going to cut off, like, I don't know, just, you know, whatever you think looks right. So that, I reckon that loop's about right. Okay, so you're going to cut that off, and then you're going to take one of your pieces, and you're going to do a line of glue just along that edge there, and then take your braiding cord, lay it on. You have to work quickly. This is in your problem, it's quite fiddly, you have to work quickly. So lay it on like that, get it in, get it stuck in the glue, and then I'm just going to go over that again just because I'm concerned that's dry, that's already gone cold. And then we're going to roll it up as tightly as you possibly can. You're going to roll it up. So you only need glue on that first edge to start with, and then you're going to roll this up as neatly as you can, as evenly as you can. Apologies if you can't really see it, it's quite difficult to do it nice and tight to the desk. And then you should end up with rolled edge like this. Now before you glue that edge, just make sure that does fit. Now mine does fit, so that's good. So 4 inches is good for the glitter felt. So once you know that's going to fit in that hole there, you then want to go ahead, add some glue along that edge, and just press and stick and hold down. And then you're going to take your glitter decoration and you're just going to put some glue just on the inside edge inside the decoration, and you're going to twizzle this in, just get it in, and just get it down about kind of halfway, about like there. So you've got a section sticking out. I've probably got about, what, ½ inch. So there's ½ inch inside and there's ½ inch on the outside. And then you want to do the same with this one. So with this one, obviously you're not going to add the thread, you're just going to put a line of glue and then just roll it up like you just did. Just be careful you don't burn yourself, because obviously it is hot glue. I'm just going to roll it up again as tight as you can. So once you get to this bit here, again, I'm just going to make sure that's definitely going to fit in there, and it will if I squeeze it, so that's good. And then I'm going to run a bit of hot glue along that edge. Again, just make sure that's definitely stuck down. Then you're going to grab your decoration, and on the bottom of it, you're going to do the same as you did with the top. Put some glue in, and then just stick your little rolled up edge inside. Twizzle it around a little bit, so again you've got about ½ inch. And what I would do is I would make sure that both of your seams are at the same place. Okay, so there you go, and there you have your little glittered bauble. And as you can see, this one's a lot more even. For some reason this one didn't end up quite as even, but you should be able to just kind of, you know, fidget with it and get it so that it's a bit more even. But yeah, so there you go, there's your little glitter bauble. So I quite like the way they turn out. They're really nice, you know, and again they're not heavy for the tree. They're quite sweet. You can, you know, give them a good old twizzle. They're quite sweet. So yeah. So off the back of this armchair that I did, I also made a sofa. So I introduced to you with the same paper pad the sofa gift box. Now this has, I think it's 12 boxes in total. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, 10 boxes. 10 boxes in total, but you could make a couple more cushions if you wanted to, make it 12 boxes. But I just think it's a really nice little gift box. Obviously every one of these cushions is a box, and they're quite a decent size as well. They also fit the lint bears, so the lint bear fit there, and also the little lint bears as well, these ones. I thought you could probably have those, you could have one either side if you wanted to, or if you didn't want to bother with the cushions, you could fit a few more on. You could really go, you know, go to town with it. It's quite a cute little sofa. So the papers I used to make this one is the same as for the armchair. So I used the Storyteller pad from DRK Crafts. If you use my code LouiseMakes, you'll get 5% off your order. So these are not Christmas papers, but I think you can agree that actually looks quite Christmassy. So just another way of using your normal papers and choosing the right colours. And even that one, I mean, you know, I think that's quite festive in a way. You could festive that up easily. So yeah, so you can use obviously papers that aren't festive papers for festive makes. So let's get into it. Okay, so you're going to need for this similar things that you had for the armchair, but for the sofa you're going to need a bit more of it. So we're going to start with the back cushions. So these are the back cushions, and these measure 6.5 by 9, and you're going to score along the 6.5 inch edge. You're going to score at 1.25 and at 5.25. Okay, and then we're going to turn it round, and we are going to score at 3 inches, going off a little bit there, at 4.25, at 7.25, and at 8.5. Okay, so that's your back piece done. So we'll we'll cut all the bits out in a minute, but if we do all the scoring first. Then you're going to need 2 pieces which are for your side arms, and on these you are going to score at 1.25 and at 4.5. And if you turn it round, you're going to score at 2.5, at 3.75, at 6.25, and at 7.5. So that's all the scoring for your side arms. And again, you have 2 pieces of this. You've got 2 back pieces, 2 side arms. I've already made one up, which is why I've only got one. Then you need 2 of these, and these are the base cushions, like the seat cushions, and these measure 5.5 by 7. So along the 5.5 inch edge, you're going to score at 1.25 and at 4.25. And then we're going to turn it round. Okay, so you're going to score it at 2 inches, at 3.25, at 5.25, and at 6.5. Okay, so that's all of that one done. And then optional, if you want to make 2 little cushions, you can. So I've got a larger cushion and then a smaller cushion, and this is just decoration. So if you want to do that, the larger one out of the 2 measures 2.75 by 4.5, and on the 2.75 you want to score at half an inch and at 2.25, and then along the long edge you want to score at 1.5, 2 inches, 3.5, and 4 inches. And then for the really small cushion, is this measure, the piece of card, again you can have 2 of these, and it's 2.25 inches by 4 inches, and along the 2.25 inch edge you are scoring at half an inch and at 1.75. And then we're going to turn that round, and then we're going to score. I'm going to turn it over so I can actually, no, still can't see. So you're going to score it at 1.25, 1.75, 3 inches and 3.5 inches. Okay, so that's all your scoring done. Oh, and then the other thing we need is the outer. That's the other piece. So the outer measures 6 5/8 by 11.5. And on the 6 5/8 side, you want to score it at 2.5 and 5 7/8. And then we're going to turn it round, and along this side, you're going to score it at 1.5 and at 10.25. And so that is all your score done. So first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and fold and burnish all of my score lines. Okay, so on the back cushion, what you want to do is grab a ruler and a pencil. On the armchair, I did actually score these lines, but on this one, I'm not going to do that. And actually, we actually don't need this. If you just take your red tape, and what you want to do is you're going to put red tape on this side, and you're going to go up. So where you've got it like this, you've got your little 1/2 inch tab at the top. I don't know how much you can see because I've had to put the light on, so it kind of doesn't help that it matters so much. But where you've got your little 1/2 inch tab, that needs to be at the top. And then what you want to do is, where you've got these two score lines here, on the other side, on the right side, not on this side, you're going to put a red tape along here, obviously on this side, but from this edge, going past the first score line, stopping at the second score line on both of these two pieces. So I'm going to put mine on, and then you can see what I mean. Okay, so you should end up with that. You can't see it, but I've got tape there, and I've got tape. You might be able to see the reflection of it. Okay, so once you've done these two here, you're just going to cut up just on the outside of that tape, like that. Then you're going to cut down this second score line, just straight down. And then you can go ahead and notch these out here. And you can also notch this one at the top out. And they're going to repeat that same thing on this side. And I'm just going to turn this over, and on, so where your 1/2 inch tab is, on that second score line, you just want to draw like a little 1/2 inch line just on that left and right side. So I'm going to get my ruler on, so from here across to here. Okay, so as you can see, I've done my pencil line. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cut down past that, so down your score line, like that, and then we're going to cut across here where your pencil line is, and then we're just going to miter this out a little bit. You don't want to miter it too much, because otherwise your box lid won't close properly. And then, as we did with the sofa, I'm just going to fold that in, and I'm going to round this corner here. And then all we need to do is put it together. So we're going to take the backing off this little tab here on both sides. And then we're going to bring this in, fold that over, and make sure this is a right angle. And then we're going to do the same with these. So we're going to take the tape off these, fold these over, and you're just going to bring them up and stick them inside your box. And then there you have your box. And then you can just turn the top over, tuck it in, and it should hold. So you need to make 2 of these. So there's my 2. And these are actually going to go this way up. Okay, so they're actually going to go upright rather than being that way, because they go in the back of your armchair, your sofa. So I'm going to put those 2 to one side. Okay, so you should end up with your side pieces and your base piece, your base seat cushion, both looking the same as you did for the back. So you're going to stick it together in exactly the same way. They're all literally the same, just different sizes. So I'm going to go ahead now, peel off this backing and stick it down like we did before. Okay, so you just got the little cushions to do next. So these are slightly different. You can cut them. You could actually probably do the layout the same, but I've done mine slightly differently. So for these, what we want to do is take our scissors and we are going to cut straight up here and straight up here. We're going to just notch this out slightly. And then we're going to do the same on this side, and actually it might be better to stick our red tape on first. And I think what we're going to do is I'm going to put it from here going across to here, because the whole of those two tabs need red tape on them. So then I'm going to go ahead and do the same on this side. Just going to cut straight down there, straight down here, and then I'm just going to notch this one out, and then we're going to turn it around so we've got the little two bits at the top, and we're just going to come straight down here to the second score line, and then I'm just going to cut across that first score line and notch it out ever so slightly. And I'm also going to go ahead at the top here, these little bit here, which is the lid, I'm going to go ahead and round the corners again. So that's what you should end up with. And we're going to repeat the same thing on the little box as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our box, we're going to take the tape off the little section, and then we're going to bring it up and we're going to stick it behind this one that's got the tape on it. Like that, and do the same on this side. And then we're going to take the tape off this piece here. And because we've cut it square at the bottom, it just makes it easier to line it up. So then we're going to bring this one over and it's going to stick over the top. And we're going to repeat the same on this side. And then we can fold these down and tuck that in, and it should stay nicely. And so that's one of your cushions. So we're going to do all the same again, but just on the smaller one. Okay, and then last but not least, we just need to do the outer. So on the outer, you just need to go ahead, turn this over, and we are going to put a little bit of tape just on here and here. So this is the smaller section. And they also added a tape at the top there, just above that last score line. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to cut to one side of that tape there, like that, just to the first score line. And then we're going to turn it round, and then here we're just going to cut up this score line straight. And then we can notch out this tab here. And then here, what we want to do is cut along our tape, and then at the back, we're going to cut straight down to the first score line, and then we're just going to notch these tabs out. So that's what you've got on that side. So you're going to repeat exactly the same mirror image on the other side. Okay, and then what I want to do is I just want to round this corner here. and on this side, and also this one at the back here as well. So you should end up with that, hopefully. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take off the backing tape here, and we're going to bring this tab up and just stick that there like that, and the same on this side. And then we're going to take the backing off here and bring it up and stick it to the back, and the same on the other side. And then all you need to do is put your little boxes in. So you've got your side pieces, so these are going to go in here, and as you can see, you can, if you want, turn it the other way around so you don't end up with the, you can turn it which way you want really, so you can get the you don't end up with the gaping edges. And then you want your seat cushions in and your back cushions in. So there's your sofa, and then if you want to add the little cushions in, you can, and these will just go, and again they can just go on there like that. This one didn't turn out quite so well, but never mind. And then just on there like that, and so there you have your little sofa. Okay, and if you want to, you can kind of stick them into position so that they're, you know, they all fit nicely. The other thing as well to remember is, as I said before, the lint bears fit. So you could have Big Daddy Lint Bear in the middle there, or these also fit. So if you weren't doing the cushions, you could just have Daddy Bear to one side maybe, and a little bundle of baby bears either side, or you could have him in the middle and then stick these in, have one either side, one little bear there and one little bear there. I think that's quite cute, and obviously you've got, you know, space in these to put things in as well. So it is quite a cute little sofa, and I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. So the whole thing is quite a decent sized box. The whole thing measures about 8 3/4 by just under 3.5, and the height is approximately it's about 4 inches high. So you really can go to town with it. The other thing as well, if you're using card like this where you've got a white edge, you can just find a pro marker and just go over the white edges with so I'll probably find a red that will go with that, and I'll just go over any white bits I see, just so you haven't got that white on it. You can also add, if you want to, you can go ahead and add gems like I did with this one. So I put little gems over it as well. So you could do that if you wanted to, just detailed it all, or you could leave it as it is, or you can make a little cover that goes over the top, and that would solve your white issue and would also mean you've got another little colour going on. I actually really like this little series, the little sofa. If you wanted to, you can make a little set. There's really lots you could do. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. Everyone, so today I want to show you how to make this card. Now this is called a spin around card because it does exactly that. It spins around and you have like another message revealed on the other side. It's quite a cool card. Now I made a little bit of a mistake with mine, which is why I'm having troubles there, but this was kind of like a learning curve. This was my first one that I made, so we're only making the second one today, so we're going to wish me good luck on that one. So this is, as I say, spin around card. I've actually used my own papers on this. This is the Joy to the World paper pack, which is available over as a digital kit on Etsy, and it's also available as a printed paper pad on Amazon. I've got it on an 8.5 by 8.5 size pad, and also as a letter size pad, and it's got embellishments and stuff. Now this card I originally saw done by Maria's Crafting Corner, and I think she had credited Stemple Fantasy and Lauren's Scraplot as people who who had done it, who, you know, had come up with it. I think Stemple Fantasy was the one who came up with it originally. I think they were the originals. I'm not sure. Anyway, they were the two people that she had credited. So I then made this card based off this. Now, one thing I learned, so you can learn from my mistake, if you use single-sided card, i.e. like the mirror card or whatever, you might end up, or like core card, you know, one that has like a white core to it, you might end up with what I've got here. So I've got a little bit of roughing up of the surface where you've got the friction of it turning, but obviously it's kind of messed it up a little bit. So you might end up with that. The other thing as well that I learned, make sure you stick your pattern paper down fully, like to the very edges, because any little bit that is sticking up is going to get caught, as you're discovering there. It's sort of, it's getting caught. So just be careful of that. So today, hopefully, the card we're going to do today, hopefully we'll end up getting past that. I've actually put mine onto a top folding card. The one I saw was just flat, but I thought I would want that stood up. The other thing as well that I haven't added yet that I need to is like a little thing that just says, you know, to turn, some little, you know, instruction up here, turn, or we don't want pull, but maybe turn, a little arrow or something, just so the person knows what to do with it. But yeah, so we're hopefully gonna do this today. So we might end up with a few problems on the way, but hopefully we will get there, you know, eventually. So let's get into it. Okay, so you're going to need for your actual base, I've got a 5.5 by 11. I'm going to score it halfway at 5.5. So I'm actually making a 5.5 by 5.5 card blank. If you want to do it on a different size, you can, but this was the size I thought I'd go for. Because I think this is what the size they did, and my brain couldn't work out the measurements of sizing it up. And to be honest, 5.5 is quite a decent size. I think that can go in the mail for most places. So yeah, so I thought we'll stick with 5.5 and we'll just go with that. So we're going to do it as a top folding card. So that is all you need for that. Now, one thing I am going to do, I'm going to keep my scoreboard out, because although the next bit we're actually cutting, I'm going to use the scoreboard, because then I know I'm going to keep it straight. I didn't use a scoreboard for my original one, so hopefully we're going to be okay. But anyway, so you're going to need 4 pieces of base card that are 5 1/8 by 3. Now, you don't, as I said, you want something really that's like double-sided. You don't really want a single-sided. You want something with a bit of weight to it, but not too much. This card, I reckon, is about a 300 GSM. I'm hoping it's going to work. The one that I used before was probably about a 280. I think the mirror card's probably about a 280. So hopefully this isn't going to get too thick. So what we want to do, first of all, is we are going to start along the short edge. We're going to mark at 3.5, and we're going to go down, and we're going to go down just past the 1.5 inches. So I'm going to stand up so I can see what I'm doing. So 1.5 inches is about there. So I'm going to go from 1.5 inches down to 1.5 inches. Now, if I haven't gone far enough, that's fine, because we are going to cut. We are going to cut these, but I just thought if I leave it in the scoreboard, then at least I know it's going to be straight. Okay, so that's one piece done. We're going to do another piece. So here's another piece. This time we are going from, again, at 1.5, but this time we're coming down to just past 3.5. So again, I am going to place my ruler so it's just past 3.5. So 1.5 inches on the top, and we're going to score down of just over 3.5 inches down. Now these are going to be cut lines, but I'm scoring for now just so that I can get them square. Then we're going to take these two here. The other advantage with going for double-sided card is that you can do them the same and just turn one round. If you're going single-sided card, you need to do the opposite side. So we're going to put this in, and we are going to score at 1.5, and we're going to go down just past 1.5. So again, I'm just going to put my ruler on so I roughly know where I'm going, but I will clarify it up in a bit. So there's one piece, and we're going to do the same on this one. As I said, if you've got a single-sided card, then you want to do this on the other side, because what's going to happen is that's going to be like that, and the other one needs to have the mark on this side, not on this side. Okay, so, but obviously because I'm, as I said, double-sided card helps you a lot. So let's just do this mark. Okay, so let's start with these two. So these are the ones we did from the top, from the short edge. So I am just going to measure down that score line now and mark it just past half. Yeah, I have actually done it just past 1.5. And I'm literally going like a 1/16 over the 1.5 inch thing. And then this one here is supposed to be just over 3.5. So I'm going to measure down 3.5. And again, I'm just going to mark again about a 1/16 just past. So we're going to cut down these now. And what I think I'm going to do, last time I just did like a slit. I just literally cut down the line. But I think on this time round, and this might not work, I'm just going to cut just slightly to one side of that score line. So what I've done is I've literally cut the slitheriest of slithers out so that that is then not just a slit, it's got a bit more, it's just a little bit thicker, like, you know, it's just a little bit bigger, that slot. So it's more of a slot than a slit. So I'm going to do the same with this one here. I'm literally going to cut just, you don't want it lots, you really don't want it lots, but I think that this is going to help so that it's not going to be quite so tight. So we're literally going to cut a fraction out. Okay, so there you can see your two pieces. Right, so I'm going to put them this way round. So the way she, I can't remember who it was who explained it this way, but the way the lady, I think it might have been Maria, the way the lady I watched explained it, she said this was kind of like a crocodile mouth, which I could see because it's got like a big wide grin, and then this is like your small, I don't know what she called this one, but you know, this is like your smaller one. So if you have it, say your crocodile one faces left and your other one faces right, and just leave them like that because that's going to help you in a bit. And then the other two pieces that we've done, again, I'm just going to cut down, and we just need to measure first and mark. So it was just past 1.5, which is here. And the same with this one, just past 1.5, which is there. And then we're going to cut down. Again, I am just going to cut just to one side of that line and then just to the other side. So we get a tiny kind of slot. Okay, so I've done those two pieces. So one of these pieces, we need to turn it round so that you have one facing one way and one facing the other. Now, we are going to need to put some tape on these, and the lady I watched, she put the pattern papers on before she assembled it. I'm going to do it afterwards because I just know I'm going to come a cropper if I do it beforehand. So what we're going to need is we are going to need some tape, some double-sided tape, and we just need to, so on this one here, we just need to go ahead and add some double-sided tape, and I'm not going to use thick stuff. You only want a real thin piece really, and I'm just going to put a thin piece just along the bottom here. Okay, so that's that one done. We also need to add some more tape onto this one, but before we do that, we're just going to go ahead and slot it together and work out where exactly it goes. I think that the tape goes on here and also on the back of here, but I just want to double check. So we're going to take this and we are going to put it together. So obviously you've got crocodile facing left, the other one facing right. We're going to put it so that it goes in like that. Okay, so you've got your bottom piece here. Then we are going to take this one, which is the one facing to the right. This one is going to go in here behind this crocodile jaw, and it's going to come right in here, and it's going to cover up this piece here, like that. And then we take this other piece, which is facing to the left, and this one, so if you take this front piece here, this one, and the one behind it, number 2, like that, you can see you got number 2. This one's going to come in, and it's going to go over the top like that and fit in just there, like that. Okay, and if you kind of hold those two pieces together nicely, you should find that when you swivel, this whole section swivels and holds. Okay, so now obviously we have put tape at the back here, which is fine. And so then on this one, what we want to do is we want to put tape. There we go. So we want to put tape here and also here. Okay, so we want to put tape on here and also on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, first of all, just going to swizzle that out. Well, actually, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to swizzle that just to one side, just for a second. And we're going to put tape here, but then also on the back of here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the backing off here and stick these down. So let's just take the backing off. Let's stick these two pieces on top of each other like that. So that's those two pieces stuck down. Then we need to make sure that these two pieces are together. And this is where you really do need to make sure that your pieces are the same size. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it slightly. Pull this up, take that backing out, and then we're going to stick these. I'm actually going to turn it around so I can see what I'm doing. We're going to stick these two pieces together there, like that. I'm going to turn this over. Well, actually, I'll leave it this way up because I need to take the backing off and then we'll turn it over. So take the backing off, turn it over so it's now the right way up. And again, we just want to stick that down so that fits there. Okay, so you should end up with this. So you should end up with a rectangle at the top, a big long strip going over the top of that rectangle, another long strip that goes over the top. See, here's a gap there that goes over the top of this one. And then when you turn this, you should end up with this piece on the top of here. So as you turn it, you get that, and you turn it back, you get that. That's what you should end up with. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to have to stick this down. So I'm going to flip this over quickly and just turn this so I can see where this comes to. So that's going to come to there like that. And if I turn it again, yeah, so that's fine. So I just need to make sure then that my tape, when I stick it down, doesn't go past that line. So I'm going to go ahead now and add, I'm just going to put it back to how it should be, like that. Turn it around. Oh no, that way around, sorry. You need to make a mark because otherwise you're going to get confused which way up. Okay, make sure you've had a good night's sleep before you make this card because trust me, it's challenging. Right, so I've made a little mark. I've made a little arrow. I've put X marks the spot. So that's the front. That's the way up it needs to be. I'm going to turn it over. On the back here, I'm going to put a line of tape here and a line of tape here and make sure I don't go over that pencil line. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back over again. Now, I think the best thing to do is to go ahead and stick this on a card because I'm going to get confused if I don't. So I'm going to grab my card front and this is going to go on here. Now, we don't want to fully stick it. Where we've just put that red tape, that is the only thing that is going to stick this onto this card. So that's another reason why you need to go quite solid with your tape. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take it all off, which is a bit of a daring thing to do, but anywho, I'm going to take it all off and then we're going to go ahead, place it on here in this corner, make sure it's kind of lined up. So you've got a similar kind of a border all the way around. There we go, like that. Stick that down. So now you should still be able to move your card around, but you should obviously, you shouldn't have a problem with that. Mine's got a bit of give in it, but I think that's because I use little slots rather than making slits. But I just didn't want to end up with the mess that I had here. So now we need to work out what we're going to put pattern-wise. Make sure when you stick your patterns down that you are properly gluing them to the very edge and corner of every piece, because otherwise you end up with what we had there and they get stuck. Also, don't go for anything thick. If you want to stamp on here, that might be the best option. They both use stamped pieces of like pattern paper, the ladies I saw, but anyway. You're going to need in total, well, 3 or 4 pieces, depending on what you want to do. What I've decided on this one, I had like 1, 2, and then you've obviously got your 3 and 4. But on this one, I decided to go for 3, and then I was going to stamp a greeting or put some other kind of greeting or whatever on the other piece. So that's what I'm going to do. So I have cut out 1 piece of pattern that's going there, and 1 piece of pattern that is going there, like that. And then this is going to go on one of the other bits that flips round. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these 2 down first. Okay, so those are those 2 pieces stuck down. I'm now going to turn this round like that, and then we're just going to put into place, I've got 1 more piece here, so I'm going to put that over the top there, and then I think I might stamp a greeting on this bit. I might change my mind and stick a you know, a greeting down, but whatever you do, it needs to be something relatively flat, something that's not going to, you know, hinder the mechanism. So right, I'm going to go ahead and stick this piece on. Okay, so I've put my card in my stamping platform. I've just placed my stamp where I want it to be. I'm going to just do this. Now this is a bit dodgy because obviously it's not completely flat. So you would do well to do it beforehand. It's just knowing which way up which thing is going to be. And for my brain, I don't know. So I just thought it's probably the best way. And I thought if I do the platform, then at least then if anything doesn't quite stamp properly, I can go ahead and do it again. Actually, that's stamped okay. I'm happy with that. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead, just clean this up, and then I will take it out and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to turn that back round again. So obviously that's going to disappear. You're not going to see that. And now we just need to go ahead and stick the rest of our pattern pieces on. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to shimmy that over so it's in place again. What I'm going to do is I've got 2 pieces to go on here. These 2 pieces here, which are going to go there and there, I'm going to go opposites. You could go on the same if you want to. And actually I think I might need to make them slightly less. They're a little bit too long, I think. They're okay height-wise, but length-wise they're a little bit too long. So these 2 pieces measure 1 1/4 by 2 inches. I've actually made mine 2 1/8, so I'm just going to cut them down to 2. I think that will fit better. Yeah, so I've cut them down to 2 inches long, and that to me looks a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick them down. Right, so now we need to go ahead and you can either stamp a greeting on there if you want to, or I'm going to have a greeting up the top here. I'm going to have Silent Night, Ho Night in the corner. So I'm actually going to put a piece of pattern paper on. This piece of pattern paper measures 2 3/4 by 2. And I'm going to go ahead now and just stick that on there. Right, so I've put that on there, and then I'm going to turn this round so it's in position of how it will be when it's turned. And then in the top section here, I'm just going to put another bit of pattern paper and a matte piece. On my original, I just did a big one that went behind, but on this one I've done it slightly differently. So my matte piece is 3 inches by 2 inches, which means this is 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead now, stick that onto there like that, and then stick the whole thing into that corner. Okay, so I've done that. So now when you turn, you've got that like that, and then turn it back in, and it goes back to there. So then we just need to go ahead and add this on. Now I can put a little bit, I'm going to put some silicone glue behind it. You can have it sticking up a little bit because obviously there's nothing going past that section. So I don't want it too sticking up because I obviously want to be able to post it, but I would like a little bit of height on it just so that it's kind of, you know, stands out a bit more. Okay, so I'm going to cobble together the word turn on here with like a, I'm going to probably angle it and then have like a little arrow. I don't have any arrow peel offs, so I'm going to make one. So this is a set of peel offs I've had. As you can see, I've used some of them, but there's some that I'm unlikely to use. So this big congratulations, it's so enormous, I'm probably not going to use that. So I am going to use this one, and we're going to cobble together the word turn and also make a little arrow up. Now obviously on my other one I actually added a little circle onto the back of this one here, so you can actually pull it, but I haven't done it with this one, so I'm just going to cobble it together. Okay, so I've just kind of cobbled together the word turn and a little arrow thing. Obviously you might need to just have a word and just make sure they know how to do it. Also make sure when you're sticking your back section on, if you are using glue, that it doesn't end up sticking to the back of your turning piece like mine has. So there we go. So yeah, so that happens like that. And then obviously on the inside, I just need to put a piece of white card on the inside. That will, I'm not going to bother with a mat, so that will just be a piece that is 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then there's your card, and obviously it stands up, as long as your person knows how to do it. This actually turns a lot better than the other one. Obviously there's been a few blips along the way. It's not the sort of card that I would make 10 dozen of, as one of my craft ladies would say. But yeah, it's still nice. I like it. Obviously I like the fact it's kinetic, but it is one of those you definitely need to have a practice at. Make one out of a rough piece of paper first, like I did with this one, because this one was not too bad to put together, which is why I thought, oh, I could do this card. And then when I actually came to make it, I was like, and then obviously the second time around, it still hasn't been super easy. So just make sure, if you're into kinetic cards and you're really good at it, you'll probably breeze through this. It's super easy. But yeah, I did struggle a little bit, but we got there in the end. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed today. Make sure to check out my digital kit, my Silent Night digital kit, which is over in my Etsy shop. I'll put links in the description below and one up on the screen. Make sure you go and check out Amazon, check out my paper pads. The Silent Night is now up, so go and check that out. And again, I will put the links in the description below. I will have already put them on the screen earlier in the video. And yeah, hope you enjoyed today. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you again next time. Everyone, so today I want to show you this card, which I'm calling a 5x7 sloping zigzag card. Now I haven't seen this card before. It's something I sort of came up with, so if someone's already made it, please let me know, but I haven't seen this particular one. What I like about it is it's got no wastage to it at all, and so you've got, when you open it up, you've got that, so it could be quite useful for if you want to make like a little Arctic scene or whatever. But it's quite a cool little card. I quite like it. I also show you in the video how you can turn it into a gift card holder as well. There's a couple of options you can do. In fact, there's more than a couple, but I'll show you a couple of options. It obviously folds flat to fit in a 5x7 envelope. If you want to make this as an A5 card, you can literally do exactly the measurements that I'm doing, I would say. Just using obviously an A5 card blank, because A5's cards are only 3/4 of an inch wider and 1 1/4 inch taller, so they're not that much different to a 5x7. So what I would say is, if you want to do an A5 version, then you could maybe change the distance here, but to be honest, well, yeah, maybe do, instead of, I do 2.5, but maybe do 3 inches. And then everything else is pretty much, you can probably work out your mats and layers from that, but your score lines and whatever is pretty much the same as a 5x7. So you can easily size this up to an A5 if you want to. So yeah, so I use, as I said, the papers from my Etsy and Amazon, that from In Love Art Shop. So yeah, I think that's about everything we need to say. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need a piece of base card that is 7 by 10.5, and you're going to score it at 5 inches and at 10 inches. And then what you want to do is, I'm actually going to flip it over and then fold it because I want the tab piece to be on the front. Okay, so you want to score it so that when you open it, this tab is the front piece. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to fold along that tab. So we've got like a zigzag basically. You've got concertina type card. So you've basically got that. Okay, so you've got your tab at the front. Just going to open it up and bring in my cutting mat. So along this score line from the bottom up, you're going to measure up 2.5 inches and then make a little mark. And then what you want to do is everything above that 2.5 inches you want to cut off. So what I would do is get your score line, get it right up. You want to make sure you cut your score line off. I'm just going to extend that mark so I can actually see it because I'm on dark card, it's a bit tricky. So we're going to go all the way down until we get to that line like that. And then we are just going to trim this off. You can notch it if you want or just do it straight. It doesn't really matter because of what we're going to do. You might want to notch this bottom side, but I'm going to put tape on first before I start notching it. Then what we want to do is I'm going to turn this over just because I'm going to draw. In fact, let me just cut straight away. I was going to draw a line, but we may as well just cut it straight away. So we're going to cut from the top of where you've just cut. We're going to cut from there to this 5-inch line here. Now what I like about this card is you actually use this piece. So this piece does not get wasted. Normally this would be like, chuck it, we don't need it. But we do need it for this one, which is great. So then we're going to turn that over like that. So then you've got your kind of zigzag. And then what this is going to do is this was like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to flip it over this way so that you've got your 5-inch bit along the bottom. And this is going to stick onto here. So you want to go ahead and put red tape or wet glue onto that bit there. And then I'm just going to peel that off. And we're going to take this, make sure we got the right around. And we're going to line it up in that corner there. Line it up along the edge and obviously along the bottom. And so that is your piece stuck into place. Okay, so what we need to do now is sort out our mats and layers. So we've got 3 mat pieces that are 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. One of them is going to go in here like this. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on. And on top of that, we need a pattern piece that is 4.5 by 3 3/8, which is going to go at the top, and a white piece that is 3 inches by 4.5 that goes on the bottom like that. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick those pieces in. Okay, so that's that bit done. So we need to deal with this bit here. You don't have to put a pattern here if you don't want to, but I'm going to put a pattern mat on. It does make it thicker, obviously, but I just felt like it needed it, and it also then helps me with the front piece. So anyway, so that's that. So then what we want to do is I'm going to go ahead and sort obviously this bit and that bit out. So I've got 2 pieces of pattern paper. Now I wanted to put the star one at the bottom here, and this one is going to go on here. So what I'm going to do is take my mat piece. Obviously I said you had 3 of these. So I'm going to take my mat piece, I'm going to lay it into position, which is there, and then I'm going to turn it over very carefully, like that, and I'm just going to draw on the back of here, and then I'm going to cut this out, but obviously just make it a little bit bigger than it needs to be. So I'm just going to come just down from that line a little bit, so we've got a kind of border, the same kind of border going on all of them. So I'm going to bring this back into play again and just put that on and just lay it and make sure it looks right, and it does, it looks pretty good. So because I know that that is now correct, I'm going to take this one and we're going to put them so that they're blank side to blank side together, and I'm going to go ahead and draw down this line and cut it again because I know that that is the correct angle. And because I've turned it round now, it's going to be the correct angle for the other side. You need to make sure you definitely put either pattern to pattern, well, you know, pattern to pattern, or blank side to blank side, depending on which way, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so this is now going to fit on the back, and it does fit on the back. So next up, we're going to bring the pattern in that I'm using for that inside piece, which is this one, and I'm going to put it just on the back for now, turn it over, just get it on the back in the right kind of place, which is kind of there. As you can see, I've put tape on the back already. Then we're going to flip this over like that, trying to keep it in place, and I'm going to draw along here. Now I know this is the right side that I'm drawing on, but I'm not going to actually need to use any of that I'm, you know, that I'm using. So that's the actual line of where the mat card ends. So I need to cut just below that line, which is about there. I have to be careful because I've got tape on the back, so it might slip and slide around on my desk. So that's going to go on there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. You do need this piece, so don't get rid of that. So let me go and stick this down. So that's that bit done. I'm going to put it to one side and we'll stick it in a minute. So then we need this one, and I was intending, I think, to have this going the other way, so that then we don't have to worry about the fact that this line is going to be off. It's not the same as this, you know, it's not the same angle. So I kind of wanted it to be like that, so then you haven't got to worry about this. But anyway, I didn't manage to organise that, so whatever. One thing you could have done as well, which I should have done just now, is that pattern piece we just cut out. I could have used that as a template for this. So we are going to do the same again. So I'm just going to turn this over. I'm going to put that on the back like that. Make sure it's pretty much lined up. And then spin it round. As you can see what I'm saying about the lines, that does kind of bother me, but anyway, there's not much I can do about it now. I'm not going to cut out another piece. So then we're going to go just to the below that, so we've got a nice border. So you can see what I was saying there about it being slightly off, but whatever, it's fine. We're not going to be too picky. Then we're going to go ahead and stick that one down. Right, so that's those two pieces. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick those straight in where they need to be on the cards. We haven't got so many pieces floating around our desk. Okay, so that's as far as we've got. There we go, got the inside and we've got that bit. Now this bit here, we want to use this piece, which obviously needs cutting down, which is fine. And we also want to use this piece, which is our mat that we cut off the back piece. These two pieces, if you want, you can use them because they could go behind here. Obviously my pattern's upside down, so I'm not going to use them, but if you wanted to, you could use those. I would bet best to start with an NOA up pattern. That's the best thing to do because then you haven't got to worry about, you know, getting it the right way up and the rest of it. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this up. I'm going to turn it kind of round for now, lay it on, because that's going to go there on that front there. And then we are just going to, I'm just going to draw a line. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a line and hope for the best. I think probably about there we'll do it, because it's quite slippery being mirror. So about there. And then we're going to trim that down. And then I'm going to take my pattern piece and repeat the same thing on that. In fact, I'm going to do the backwards thing because I've cut the tape on it already. It's super slippy. So I think I'm going to put that on like that, and then we'll draw a line on the back, and that will probably work better. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick this onto here. Okay, so then you can make a decision. So at this point, you can either stick this actual pocket here, so your gift card goes in there, or if you don't want it to be a gift card holder at all, you can just stick this straight down and then you're done. So it's a Z fold. Or if you want it to be a Z fold, but you don't want the pocket to be there, you want it to be like a Z fold, you can keep it as a Z fold, and then this piece here turns into your pocket. So you just literally put glue down this line and glue down this side and stick it on, and just leave the rest so you can put your gift card in the bottom there. So what I mean is, you can either have your gift card so it tucks in here like this, or you can have it so it tucks in between the mat and the pattern like that, or you can leave it out and just have it as a Z fold card. I am going to put it in here like that. In fact, I'm probably going to leave it out. I think I'm going to leave it out, but those are the options. If you want to make it as a gift card, you can. I'm going to leave it out and just add this layer straight on. Right, so then all we need to do is add our greeting. Now, I've got this die, and this is from In Love Art Shop. So use my code ICED30 up to the end of January 2025, and that will get you 30% off your order. After that, you can just use my normal code, which is ICED Images, which gets you 20% off. So this is going to go, I'm going to put this on the front here, because I think that looks quite good there. You could put it in the middle. I quite like the middle. I don't know if I like the middle or if I like the, no, I don't want the top. It's either going to be the middle or the front. I think I might go for the middle, actually. I think I prefer the middle. Yeah, might go for the middle. Kind of didn't want to have it. No, I think I'm going to go for the middle. Quite like it on the middle. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stick it on there. So there you have your finished cards. Obviously that's cost like that. I quite like the fact that you've got this, when it stands up, it just sort of just kind of there, and you're like, well, hang on, where's that, how's that attached? It doesn't make sense to your brain. It's like it's floating. And obviously we all know it's just got the little tab, and obviously when you open it up, and I thought this would be quite fun if you had little die cut shapes of like people sledding. You could have them sledding down the hill. You could also have houses behind the back, have a little mountain scene. Yeah, so it's really cool. And obviously you've got space to write on the inside. If you wanted more space, you can make that whole section, or you can make this whole section white, or you could just write on the back. There's really lots of options you could do. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to go and check out my Amazon shop, my Amazon pads, and also my Etsy shop as well, and my digital kits. Don't forget to go and check out In Love Art Shop and use my code ICED30 up to the end of January 2025 to get yourself 30% off. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you all again next time. Bye! Hi everyone, so today I want to show you this card. I'll show you the inside in a minute. So I've used a die from In Love Art Shop, which is here. So if you use my code ICED30, you'll get yourself 30% off your order up to the end of January 2025. After that, you can use my normal code, which I'll put up on the screen, which gets you 20% off. And then the balloons were actually from a Coca-Rosa die. So if you use my code ICED20, you can get yourself 25% off on Coca-Rosa Studio. And then the papers are from my Silent Night Amazon paper pack. I'll put the links for everything in the description below, and also where I can, I'll try and put them up on the screen as well in the top right corner. So that's that. You can also get this as a digital kit as well. I'll put, again, details of that in the description below, and potentially up on the screen. And then inside you have my pop-up cube card that I made back in 2019, a long time ago. So this the triple pop-up cube card I came up with the idea back in December 2019 while I was on a craft demo for Trimcraft. I was actually in the Kidderminster store. I remember doing it, and then I didn't manage to make a video for it until about April 2020, I think it was. and it went off the charts. And you probably have seen other people do this card, just the cube, not with the attachment. And so yes, I thought, right, you know what? Let's go back to one of the originals, one of the old and goody ones, and let's stick it inside a card. This might have been done before. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it, but I know that this was definitely my idea. So that was my idea, as Vic and Bob used to say. Those of you who know, you know. But yeah, well, I quite like the fact of it being inside the card. I've got some other variations in mind for this as well, so stay tuned. If you make sure you like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, then you won't miss a video, you won't miss what happens. But yes, again, these papers are part of the Silent Night. Again, the hearts come with the thank you card, the thank you die from the front, and then the little balloons and these little spangly bits that are on the side. Catch the light there. That's all part of a Coca Rosa die. So yeah, and then you've got space on the back to right. I haven't gone and put the white bit on yet, but that will be on the back to right. And it folds flat and it fits in an envelope for a 5x7 card. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need a base card that is 7x10. And on this, you're just going to score it halfway at 5 inches. So you're basically making a 5x7 card blank. And so that is your card blank, so that can go to one side. So then you need another piece of base card, and this is 6x10. So along the 6-inch edge, you want to score at 1.5, at 3, and at 4.5. Okay, and then what you want to do is on the long edge, you want to cut it so you've got one piece that is 5 inches in height, and then the remainder 2 pieces are 2.5 and 2.5. Okay, so along that 10-inch edge, that's what you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead now and just cut these down and then come back to you. So there's your piece cut down. So you've got your 2.5 with your score lines running down it, 2.5, and then a 5. Okay, so let's just put those together. So let's come back to our base card again. On this, you are going to need, now I'm not doing mats apart from on the front cover. The reason being because otherwise it's going to get a bit too chunky. So on the inside, I've got 2 pieces of pattern that are 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And on the front, I've got one piece of mat that's 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and one pattern that's 4.5 by 6.5. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick all of these layers down. Right, so on these pieces here, so these pieces are going to be your pillars. So what you're going to need to do, now I would advise that you decorate them before you stick them in. However, you need to be very sure you know what's going where. So first of all, I'm just going to start by scoring and not scoring, burnishing, folding, burnishing, whatever you want to call it, all of my score lines. Right, so I've folded and burnished all of my score lines. So now with it with all the folds as mounting folds, we need to put pattern papers on the front of these 2 little ones, just on the 2 centres. You don't want to put one of these, just on here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. In total, you are going to need, I'll tell you the total first. In total, you are going to need, if you want to decorate inside and outside, then what you're going to need is 6 pieces of pattern that are 1 1/4 by 2 1/4 for the outside, and then for the inside you're going to need 4 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. It's the same size, but you're also going to need 2 pieces that are 1 1/4 by 4 3/4 as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick down, because I've got this yellowy, like creamy yellowy golden whatever you pattern for the outside. So I'm going to put 2 there and 2 there to start with, and then we'll show you where the next lot go. Okay, so the next one I want to do is I want to put the pattern papers on the inside parts. So if we turn these over, the bits that you're going to need to decorate are these 2 outside rectangles here. So I've got some just plain blue here, which is the blue version. Now I would normally put a bit of a mat round this, but because it's on the inside I'm not that bothered, so I'm going to go ahead anyway and stick these down. Okay, so that's those two pieces done. Now, this big one is slightly more tricky. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the two little pieces, because you're probably thinking, well, they're too small. You'll see in a minute they're not. But I'm going to leave those until we've actually put it into situ, because they're probably the only two pieces that you kind of need to leave till you've put it all in place. I mean, you could do it, but I'm just to make sure they're all lined up, I'm going to wait. So let's turn this over, and here is where we're going to put those two larger pieces that were 4 3/4 long. So they're going to go on there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those down. Okay, so that's that one done. So let us just put these two together, bring our card in, make sure we get it the right way around. And then what we're going to do is with this, I'm going to fold it in half like that. And on this edge here, so this is the cut edge, so it's the two outside, so with it flat like this, basically we're going to put glue on these two outside pieces. So I'm just going to do one side first and then do the other. You can do them both at the same time if you are feeling daring, but I think I'm just going to go for one and then the other. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place this down, and I'm going to line it up along the bottom edge and up right up against that crease line like that. And when I'm happy where it is, I'm going to shut the card on top of it and just press down. Turn the whole thing over, open up the back, and then we are going to do the same on the back. So we're going to put some glue or red tape on this one here, like that. And then we're going to take the back of our card and just shut it onto it. And you really do want to make sure it's right up in that crease, which is why it's a good idea to be using wet glue. If you can't use wet glue and you want to use red tape, you can still do it. You just need to make sure it really is in that crease. So you want to make sure it folds flat like that. And then we open it up and you've got yourself a little column in the middle of your little pillar. And in there, I mean, you're not going to see a lot of that pattern paper, but you do see a bit. I have got another version of this in the pipeline, so stay tuned for that one. That will be coming soon. So then what you want to do is take your... Now you don't want to, what you don't want to do is you don't want to try and open this flat, because it's not going to need to open flat. It's going to be stuck like that, which is what you want, and it's going to fold flat. If you try and force it to be flat, you could come across with things coming unstuck. So don't try and force it, just let it be what it wants to be. And yeah. So then we're going to take this and I'm going to fold it in half. Obviously these are on the inside, and we're going to do the same again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on to this side here, and I'm actually going to do both sides at the same time. And one little thing with this is if you are using wet glue, you do need to make sure that the one you've just stuck down, the middle one, is properly stuck down and properly dried before you go ahead and put this one in, because otherwise what can happen is this one can slide underneath and in between, and you don't want that to happen. So this is going to go in here, and we're going to line this cut edge up with the edge here. Now I've just noticed that my boxes aren't completely married up, but anyway, the edge is not completely married up, but it's fine. We'll just have to go with it. We're going to line up along the bottom, line it up along that edge, make sure it doesn't go underneath, and then we're going to fold the card down and shut it on it. And then when you open it, you should end up with that there like that. Okay, so then we're going to do the same with this one. So this one, again, just going to fold it like that. And again, those two cut edges are just going to go in there. And I'm actually going to do it, yeah, I'm going to do it this way around, I think. So let's get some glue on here. Okay, so when you open it up, you should have your two pillars, little ones there at the bottom, and your bigger one at the top there. So then we can just go ahead and add these two pieces onto these two sides here. Okay, so there you have your pillars inside. So now we just want to go ahead and add some things coming out of the pillars. Now you can use acetate for this. One thing to note is at the moment with these measurements, when you fold this flat, and if you can see, you see how you have actually got, you've still got a little bit of room there. So when you're sticking things in, just make sure that when you fold it flat, or you fold it like, you know, together, that these bits that pop out aren't coming over this edge. Okay, so just be careful. Same with the top. You've got quite a good amount of space there, so you should be okay, but just make sure that is the case. Okay, so as you can see, I've cut out a whole load of balloons and I've attached them all onto little acetate strips, just using a little piece of red tape on the back of them. I've also cut out a whole heap of hearts that actually came with the thank you die. So I've cut a whole load of those out, and I've cut the thank you die out and laid it onto some gold. And then inside here, what I wanted to have, because that thank you is going to go on the front and I'll probably have some bits coming out from it, but then on the inside I wanted to have something written on here. So I think I'm going to have "You're a Star" on the actual card, and then I'm going to stick the balloons and the stars in around so that I can navigate the letters. So I found some letters that I haven't used for ages, and these are kind of like board, like cardboard, thick cardboard letters. As you can see, some of them don't always stick. They sort of peel off their backing. They are actually sticky, but they tend to it tends to stay stuck to the peel off sheet and then not come off properly. So I'm now going to go ahead and stick these down, and I'm just going to use a bit of B6000 glue just to make sure that it sticks properly, and I'm going to put in "You're a Star." Okay, so I've put the letters on "You're a Star." I realised that I hadn't quite left enough space in the middle there, but it's fine. I've managed to style it out, which is always what we do as crafters, isn't it? So, done that. So I'm going to go ahead now and add in all the hearts and the balloons coming out from the various pillars. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done the inside. So there we go. Some of them are a bit like this one's a bit, could do with being a bit further over, but it's fine. It's, you know, they work together. So I'm quite pleased with the way that's turned out. And then on the front here, see to make sure this little one here behaves itself. On the front, we're going to go ahead. I've got a thank you. Now this is a little bit large if you put it straight. So I'm going to do it at a bit of a jaunty angle like that, and then have hearts and balloons coming out. So I'm going to go ahead, stick it on with a bit of silicone glue. So there we have the finished card. So you've obviously got your, on the front, little thank you and some balloons, and you open it up and there you have the pop-up bit. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you go and check out my digital papers and also my Amazon pads as well, because that's what I'd used here. Also go check out In Love Art Shop. Use my code ICED30 up to the end of January 2025, which will get you 30% off your orders on In Love. After that, you can use my normal code, which is ICED Images, which will get you 20% off. So yeah, and then the little balloon dies, these are from Coco Rosa Studio. So you can use my code ICED20, which will get you 25% off your orders. So yeah, go and check those out. And so I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.